up. Okay. Okay, YouTube guys, if you can let me know if this is working, as in you can hear it, that would be awesome. And then we'll take it from there. Okay. What am I doing? Okay, sorry, I switched off of that. Okay, brilliant. Everyone says working. Legends. Thank you so much. Okay, let's get into the conversation. Andrew, are you there?
Yes, sir.
What's your thoughts about the attacks on Kuwait and Bahrain yesterday? Apparently, there was a firing at, there was a missile that was fired at a U.S. naval ship as well. What's your thoughts about all of this?
Yes, we've been saying this for days now, Suleiman, that there would be kinetic activity, action. The United States would be involved in some kinetic action, and Iran is not playing games. They've said many, many times, yeah, we are in the state and trying to be in negotiation. This ongoing fake peace that the United States does, while they keep bombing, doing all these subversive things. Whatever comes out of the Pentagon, whatever comes out of the White House, I don't believe it at all. And sometimes we feel like the Lone Ranger. We feel very isolated saying that, like, man, am I being a true American? But absolutely. And it's good to hear like great men like Colonel Wilkinson and Anthony Aguilar, and it was so great having Ray on yesterday with Anthony Aguilar. That was awesome, and Larry Johnson, and all these great analysts come on. Yes, we don't believe what's coming out of the Pentagon. It's lies on top of lies. So what we saw was the military action. It was a back and forth, and it's now becoming clear that Trump realizes that Iran's not playing the game. Iran will back up what it says. Those strikes, I think, were very effective. They were all from Iran were military targets, and they were primarily U.S. targets. The Fifth Fleet in Bahrain, it's it's finished. It doesn't even exist. What the remnants of it, the U.S. isn't even there anymore. It's evacuated, but still, just because the ships aren't there, I think when they hit more targets, if I don't have a battle target assessment, but I think they really took out more warehouses, more supplies. The supplies are the big things, and that's war reserve stock. That could be missile stocks, that could be bombs, that could be food, that could be thousands of line items of material, especially repair material to do repair, ship repair, to do ship upkeeps, because that was the very heart. Well, that was headquarters of the Fifth Fleet there, and the Fifth Fleet no longer exists. On paper, it might, but I know it's relocated back to Florida. And I heard some things about Israel. I really don't think the U.S. would ever put the Fifth Fleet. I have to really look at that. It's Fifth Fleet headquarters in Israel. I think it would be Florida, but I haven't verified that. Just saying. But yeah, we saw action. We knew we would see action. I think we're going to see some more action back and forth. But ultimately, Trump knows he cannot. There is no way out of this other than some kind of a feeble, sick little exit ramp. And I think Anthony Aguilar and Ray laid it out very well. Ray, excuse me, I'm sure remember his last name.
Yeah, it's McGovern. It was McGovern, yeah.
McGovern, thank you. I'm so sorry, Ray. Yeah, thank you, Suleiman. Ray McGovern. I think Anthony Aguilar laid it out very well. Suleiman, I think you agree with that, though, right? It'll be some kind of action, a snatch and grab, some kind of, it will not be a massive ground invasion. We don't have it. And they'll do some action trying to get a win, give Trump the big W, and I think he'll try to walk away from it. But he's in a big mess, and but that's why we stay up with it. But thank you, Solomon. Great, another great interview. Love listening to Colonel Wilkerson. And I don't really agree with him as far as the. I don't think Israel will go take Beirut. I don't think they'll move further north than the Kwai River, the river line there. I think the further north they go, I think you're going to really get hammered hard. And I don't think there's no way out of it. They can't progress further. The IDF is incompetent. I just pray to God that Trump finally stands up. And I think Trump really did have a blowout with Netanyahu. I think it's pretty clear he really did, but I don't think it'll do any good. I don't think there's any way out of this except for the U.S. just to really shut Israel down, but I don't think they can at this point. I think it's going to come down to a very, very grave time for the United States because of what Israel's doing.
Andy, what's your thoughts?
Well, he's trying to, I don't know
Okay.
if you heard it,
He's
but
probably not. Probably
yeah,
not there.
but
Okay, let me just. Yeah.
Suleiman, I'm so
Go
sorry. I just want to say one more thing really quick on this. It's going to get to the point, I think we're seeing that Trump literally has run out of his word. His rhetoric is just now ridiculous. So I think he's going to actually have to put his money where his mouth is. But one thing Colonel Wilkerson said, and I agree with, I think there's a tremendous amount of stress and tension inside of the Pentagon right now within the military commanders. We have the worst example for CENTCOM, and I agree with him fully about Cooper there is not an effective leader, a great man. Alvin, this says volumes. Alvin, four-star admiral Alvin Halsey, he resigned. He walked away. And who they fill it up with? A yes lapdog. And Kane's a lapdog. They're useless. They are useless. And this is going to catch up. America is going to look so bad on this. We are in derision now. So I think America is going to get filled up with this, full sick of it. And hopefully there will be enough pushback to change this. But it's dark times ahead for the United States. I really believe that.
Yeah, this is the concern, right? This is the perspective that how things are gonna go and where they're gonna go. Um, Andrew, you heard Colonel Aguilera kind of lay out what he think could happen if they did try and do some kind of ground assault. Do you agree with that assessment? Because you always kind of thought it wasn't gonna happen, right?
Well, he goes more. I don't think it'll be to that level. He's actually, we're going to go in and strike with the marine amphibious units into the islands and stuff. No, I do not agree. Think it will happen that way because it will be a massive, complete. And I'm speaking great man. I'm not worthy even to shine his boots. I'm just saying he doesn't understand the naval warfare side of this. But in my naval service, in the doctrine of amphibious assault, because I did spend nearly 4 years with intense, very close life with the amphibious assault, marine amphibious units, before I transferred to submarine warfare, but they're not, well, unless it's a complete suicide mission. And I'm sorry, I cannot, will not bring myself to believe that military commanders would follow an unlawful order like that, because that would be an unlawful, complete, insane order to do an actual marine amphibious assault. And I know that Colonel, what Anthony Aguilar is saying, they won't come in exactly, they'll do a pincer movement. They'll go further south down the Gulf of Oman. There's areas where they could still do it, but still, it'll be a suicide mission. I think it'll be more of a strike mission and an insertion like they tried to do. And I love Anthony Aguilar's brilliant assessment, how they faked it like that, they rescued that down pilot. You're right, right. We'll believe that. I was laughing so hard I was watching that last night. I think it'll be something like that, Suleiman. It'll be in action, but not nearly on the level that Anthony was speaking of. But what bothers me are two things. Anthony has tremendous battlefield experience. I don't have that. He has tremendous knowledge of studying this, and he is, I would say, a true military expert. And we do see, like he said, we see the ingredients. What are you doing? I see the egg, I see the flour, I see the oven heated. We see the everything set up for a very sizable ground or quote insertion or kinetic action, wherever you want to round up military action. I don't see it happening. I just see it as a feint to keep the enemy on its toes. I'll say the opponent on their toes, but it won't be to the extent that Anthony's saying. I just can't see it. But a lot of it's just I refuse to bring myself to believe we'd ever do something that stupid.
Yeah, Escalate TV, thanks for joining us. Hope you're doing well. Give us your thoughts. Escalate TV. Okay, he's probably just come on to. I don't know. It's always the guys who was. Okay, cool. So Andrew, I'm gonna give the news in a few secs. So guys, in the meantime, retweet the space, reshare the space, let everybody know we're live. We have got lots to get through and lots to speak about. Also, do request on the mic so we can have some kind of panel. You all cry when Manco's on here, but at least one thing I noticed is you all cry when Manco's on here. And then when he's on here, you all run to the panel. So it's like weird. But anyway, retweet the space, reshare the space, let everybody know we're live. Let's try and get as many people in here as possible. Great conversations today. We had, who did we have on today? We had Colonel Wilkerson. We had Pepe Escobar. He thinks Iran's got a nuclear bomb, guys. Oh my God. Huge. And same with Larry Johnson as well. He broke that on our space too, and interview too. So
And didn't Colonel Wilkerson thinks basically the same thing? He didn't come out and say it, but didn't he say that he would not be surprised?
yeah, he said he kind of always thought that they'd had it, which
Yep.
is slightly different to this point because this point is more that they believe that something's happened since the death of Sayyid Ali Al Khamenei.
Right.
And the only thing I'll just say that I think the intelligence, it seems like the source might be Pakistani, so I don't know. I can imagine some Pakistani being like, "Oh, they got a nuclear bomb." Like it may not be, but other than that, it's possible. Other than that, obviously, if Larry Johnson and Pepe are saying that they've done their due diligence, then I do take that what they gotta say. As long as they're accustomed to dealing with a Pakistani, then we're sorted. Okay, jokes aside, I don't even crying. Oh, he's attacking Pakistanis. Okay,
But
we
even Ray McGovern said, he even said, I don't really know. He kind of had his doubts, but he remember even Ray said, if Larry said that, he knows and he's got his sources. So I'm putting a lot of weight on that. And I personally believe they're either there or so close that it doesn't matter. And I agree, so they should be. If Iran would have a nuclear capable, no one would mess with them like that.
exactly, exactly, totally agree with that. L was who we got here? LDNN. Go ahead, jump in.
Hi, Suleiman. First of all, I wanted to say you're doing a great job with the space. I had a really quick question. With the World Cup looming, and obviously, I initially thought that the US would strike either a ceasefire, a temporary ceasefire, or a permanent deal with Iran. How much do you think them not having a deal by the time the World Cup starts is going to actually affect their hosting of the World Cup? Because I think it looks like they're not going to strike a deal either for a temporary ceasefire or for a permanent deal by the 11th. Interested to hear your opinions, and thanks
Yeah,
for
it's a
having me up.
great. Yeah, first of all, thanks for coming up and great question. My position on this. I think I've been saying this for a while. And I know people are like, nah, Trump don't care and these type of things, but I do think that he cares about the World Cup. I think he does care about the fact that if you remember, the FIFA president gave him like the Nobel Peace Prize. The FIFA president also is like gave him a trophy, some kind of like Cup type of trophy. He was like, "Oh my God!" I mean, the one right thing Trump said was, he was like, "Yeah, this is the real football. We should rename American football." So yeah, that's one golden point he's made. And so it seems, and then you look at, obviously, as you know, to basically have a World Cup in your country, it costs quite a lot of money, and the aim is that it increases tourism and financially you recuperate that type of money over 5 years. So would he sacrifice all of that? Yeah, I do think he would sacrifice America. He don't really care if America is going to make some money in 5 years. He's probably thinking, I don't want them to make money in 5 years. I'm not going to be president in 2 years' time. But one thing I do think he thinks is like, oh, guess what? I'm gonna look so hot. Like everyone's gonna say the World Cups in America and it's so awesome and Trump's the president and he's the one and he'll say I brought the World Cup to America. So I think because of that, that makes me think that he would hold off on a strike. And that's why I thought like nothing may happen till after that. This is why Larry thought, and me and Larry discussed this, and he agreed with me. But he thought that maybe there would be something in these 2 weeks before the World Cup. But now this time's running out. We're now, what is it, the fourth, third or fourth today, and like the World Cup starts on the 11th. That's like a week from now, right? So I mean, I don't even think they've got enough time to do strikes. So if they do any strikes now, it'll be in the World Cup, and so I think it won't be. And then the other problem is in Iran, you've got the summer period as well. So I think Trump is so snookered, he really doesn't want to know what to do. And so, because he's so snookered, if you take the summer period out, when can he start attacking? What, September? In the run up to the midterms? This is why he's so desperate for a deal. This is if Trita Parsi is right, which I'm not sure, but he's saying that they were like basically Trump had capitulated to all of Iran's demands, bar a couple, and Iran thought, wait, this don't make sense. Like, why is he agreeing to everything? What go on? And so for that reason, they were a bit suspect about his about what was going on. And so anyway, I'm just good long just to recap all of that to say I actually think that if I on the balance is a probability and I'm not sure, I would say it's less likely that he's gonna strike during the World Cup. But that's 5 weeks, right? The World Cup.
Yes, about 5 more weeks come from
Yeah.
now.
So what do you think about that?
It, Lyndon or me? Yeah, yeah, Suleiman, I think you're right, but the way things are going with this, it could be these ongoing limited strikes, the tit for tat back and forth, but some massive invasion, no, absolutely not. Even after the World Cup and even after the midterm elections, I just can't see a massive invasion. We don't have it. The logistics are not there. The force is not there. It's impossible. And when I say impossible, literally, forget the strategic objective. It's just not there. And I go back to my experience working at the Pentagon and the Naval Sea Systems Command for the Gulf War. I can't even begin to describe the difference. And I know where there's a lot there now. I know there's a lot there now, but Iran is far different and more complex than Iraq ever was. So it's just not there. It's just a bunch of strikes, attacks, missiles, but nothing massive. Absolutely not.
Yeah. You basically mean okay, so just to try and understand your point, are you trying to say that you think it's going to be limited in the sense of it's going to be more of the same of what we've seen in the last week or so? Or do you mean that it's going to be limited in the sense of the way Anthony Aguilera portrayed? Because that I wouldn't call that limited, right? That's quite expansive.
Yes, very limited, ongoing tit for tat, little strikes here, a ship is hit, not down, please, I'm not trying to diminish the loss of lives, but God forbid, but a strike here, strike there, a missile hit that target, back and forth. And I don't even think it will be to the level that Anthony said again. And I think this is just going to keep going on until this drags out somehow, some way to a deal. It won't be a permanent deal, of course, but it'll be a deal just to move, kick the can down the road further. But this is not no, either. It's existential. We know it's existential for Iran, and it's existential for Israel. But Israel's going to lose on this. I really believe it, Suleiman. I really believe Israel is going to lose on this. The United States is going to look terrible and take terrible back seat. We've already lost so much, Suleiman. Even we had that MAGA guy on here yesterday. He just refused to say the word L win, couldn't bring himself to say it. But the U.S. has already lost the first round. And again, Trump knows it, and he knows even the idiot that he is, he realizes, even with his lapdog Pentagon officials, they know that there's no win here. And that's another reason I'm glad Colonel Wilkerson brought up how Hegseth is even blocking the press. This is very alarming. They're doing everything in their power to make, we won't know the real deaths, the death count toll, the toll of casualties. That's all been covered up. We have no idea. I saw the writing on the wall, of course, back in the humiliation ritual at Quantico when Trump and Hegseth gave that humiliation speech and dressed down those flags. And so, yeah, it's all falling apart.
Smuggling is rampant, and Turkey is closing it.
Sorry, I thought I didn't know the mic was on. I was just checking the volume of the last video. Sorry, Andrew, continue. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. So yeah, it's just the ongoing, very dangerous precedent that's already been set by the Department of War. We have a very dangerous man, Hexeth, running that department under the leader. Though there's no leadership there of a complete buffoon, a circus. He is literally just like a circus showman, and it's catching up to Trump. The I think the base now, Andy would have the figures, or Doc would have it, but I think Suleiman, it's like down to 30% of approval ratings, and it's even going to keep going lower. And I don't think that, Trump at this point really cares, and that's concerning. But this ongoing embarrassment, this terrible derision that the United States is in right now because of Israel, and Israel's in that same derision of open shame to the world. And Iran knows it. And every day that goes by, it just looks worse and worse for the United States. It's embarrassing. It's heartbreaking, but we're to expect what we see. If you want to put someone like that, vote him in. Americans, every person that voted for him, I'm not beating up on them. I saw it clearly, but I'm not saying they should have. But now I think they realize it now. But I just pray people don't think they're going to go vote their way out of this. We're in a uniparty system, and this is more clear every day. The voting's not going to fix it. I think it's only financially. We got to figure out how to get outside the system there, but I won't go into that. But the military, every military expert you've had on here agrees 150%, Suleiman. There's no political solution. It's only going to be more embarrassing. And in the end, Iran's going to come out of this in the driver's seat.
Yeah, no doubt they are dominating for sure. Andy, was there anything you wanted to add?
I mean, yeah, it seems like Iran has reestablished escalation dominance. I mean, Trump on Class Report, hold on, I'm pulling up exactly what he said. Trump on Iran attacking Kuwait. There is a reason for everything. He said there's a reason for everything, and that we hit them pretty hard and Iran reciprocated. That's not typically the bravado he normally did it with. So he's kind of like indifferent to it almost. Normally in the past he'd be like, "Oh, they hit us, we'll respond," but he's not going out with his bravado like he normally does. So this is more Trump being resigned than in the past, which is very interesting. I mean, that doesn't mean I think the war is going to end, but the fact that his rhetoric is not quite as fiery, and I mean, knowing Trump, he's probably going to turn around and post some bombastic threat on Truth Social in 3 hours. But the fact is, normally, right after Iran does something, he responds with a fiery statement. But the fact that he hasn't done that immediately, I think, is interesting. I think he's finally realizing, like, yeah, I can't win this. I was lied to, but I mean, he's blackmailed or they have something on him. I don't think this is simply just about Trump making money. I think there's more to it because at the end of the day, Trump does care about his reputation. He always is like, look at my poll numbers, I'm the greatest. And I think that's why Trump was so desperate to try to slap his name on the Kennedy Center and all of this, even though that's why he wants to build that arc for America's 250th. I think he wants, like, that's why he wants to build something that's permanent. So even if his legacy and reputation's gone, something he builds will like be there forever, and he can be like, this is my monument. I built this for America. Because his reputation from this war, that's something he can't recover. Like, his legacy is going to be gone, so he's trying to build something that will at least be there. And like his bluster and bravado is gone. His "I'm going to end Iran," all of that's gone because he knows he can't do that. That would melt down the entire global economy. He's completely stuck. And Benjamin Netanyahu is literally fighting for his political survival. Like, the average Israeli wants Benjamin Netanyahu to continue this war. They want him to annex up to the Litani River, versus most Americans didn't want Trump to even start this war. Like, remember the first day of the war, you had all of the Israelis. It was during Purim, they were down in the bunkers all celebrating and all jovial and celebrating, and they were like, we're gonna have regime change. Bibi's amazing. And now Israelis are like, you're not going hard enough, Bibi. Bomb Beirut, destroy the terrorists, even though they're not terrorists, they're a resistance group. And it's like Bibi, like they're pressuring Bibi because they're like, you've been in power all this time, and what have you accomplished? You've taken a part of Gaza and you've overseen multiple failed wars in Lebanon. So Bibi's viewed as weak and by his people because he's, again, Israel portrays itself as this strong, undefeatable lion, but that aura of invincibility has been pierced so many times, and he's desperate because if he faces election and loses, they're gonna use him as the scapegoat because Israel's reputation is so bad. They're gonna try to spin a PR do a PR spin that obviously we're smart enough to not fall for. We know that Israel has been evil before Bibi. I mean, they started a genocide with the ongoing Nakba in 1948, but a lot of people don't know the history. A lot of people think that, oh, this just started on October 7th. So if Israel's counting on, if they throw Bibi under the bus, at least temporarily until they start their next round of atrocities, they'll at least be able to buy themselves some time to repair their reputation before they start mass murdering people again. And then everyone realizes, okay, this isn't just a Bibi thing. That this is a state that commits genocide because everyone is not as plugged in as us or Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens or Nick Fuentes or Cenk Uygur or Anna Kasparian, who realized that this has been going on since before October 7th. Maybe Tucker didn't talk about it before October 7th, but then he's actually gone back and done research and been like, wait a minute, like this is a violent state. This is the most violent state per capita in the entire world if you look at the crimes they've committed in their population.
And the most bullied.
The most what?
Bullied. The most hated.
Yeah, it is the most hated.
Okay, but those two things go hand in hand, obviously.
They're the most hated because they commit genocide.
It's warranted.
It's warranted. So that actually brings me back to where I left off last time here, which is you say we should let Iran use nuclear weapons when they need leverage because they're rational actors, because they're not suicidal. That's kind of like your whole angle is we should allow this state who in their religious book it says Jews hide behind trees. I'm not sure if like they really believe that or whatever, but it does say that is an influence. So obviously you just had people kidnapped for 2 years and nobody seemed to care and they called it a genocide.
Wait, 1139. You just said something. You said it's in their religious book that Jews hide behind trees.
Well, I didn't say I said it's in some book that they take seriously.
Yeah, but this just shows you your lack of knowledge.
No, I called it like it is. I said it's in a book.
No, you don't. You don't. I'll educate you. I'll educate you because you're ignorant. So the people in Iran are something called Shia Muslims. Have you ever heard of this word, Shia Muslim?
I've heard of it, but I'd like you to explain it. Yeah.
And I will, don't worry. So they are Shia Muslim. This is very basic, but obviously, like I said to you, I'm here to educate, people who are uninformed. So the people of Iran are Shia. The narration that you're talking about, which is an eschatological text, you know what eschatological means?
Explain.
Okay, we'll have to go very basic here. No problem. So it's the study of the end of time. So it's something related to the end of time. So an end of time.
Okay, does it influence anybody?
I'm about to explain to you. So we're hearing a couple of elements here, right? Because I'm educating you. So the first thing is the Shia Muslims. The second thing is this is an eschatological text. The third thing is this eschatological text is in a book called Sahih al-Bahari. It's not in the Quran. That book is not accepted by Shia Muslims.
Okay. So
do you understand that, or shall I kind of help a bit
more?
With that?
No, that explains it perfectly. So then my counter to that would be...
So do you understand that your point is not valid?
Well, I would move my point, and like I said...
you're moving it, okay.
Yeah, because like I said, that's even irrelevant. I mean, the point is...
Oh, it's very relevant because you used it.
It's
very relevant because you said...
The point is simple.
1-1. It was very relevant because you made the claim. You said, these guys in Iran talk about Jews hiding behind trees. That informs them about
in Iran. I said in a book. In the book that
but it's in a book that they don't... It's in a book that they don't accept, so it's irrelevant. That would not inform them about their belief system when they don't
Okay,
even agree
thank
with
you
it.
for telling me that's irrelevant. So then my point would be that
No,
there's
yeah,
still a
I'm telling you that
contradiction.
what you said is wrong, but anyway,
Bro,
continue.
there's still a contradiction, and the
Okay.
contradiction is that the Jews, in order for their prophecy to fulfill, the Muslims can't. And in order for the Muslims' prophecy to fulfill, the Jews
No
can't.
way. And same with the Christians. Like all three
Yes,
have different prophecies.
exactly.
Yeah.
But there's a lot
That's
of
why there's three
tension.
different religions, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Except the only
Yeah.
difference is that the Muslims is more of a it's more more, I guess, not radicalized. Not that's definitely the wrong word.
Really?
Not
So
not
what do you
in
mean?
certain areas, not Iran, but
Mm.
the main thing is it's more you have to do religion by like surrender. You have to like surrender to it. So just by nature,
Again,
it's
I
more
don't understand
aggressive.
are you talking about prophecy? Are you talking about what are you talking about?
Well, all of
End of
these
times?
things go hand in hand, right? It's a
Okay,
collective
let me deal with each
field
one of
of
the points you
thought.
said. So in terms of end of times, let me give you the two religions prophecies. So according to Islam, what's going to happen during the end of times is that the Muslims and the Christians are going to fight against a third enemy. So they're going to unite together. They're going to fight against a third enemy. Many have tried to hypothesize who they are. I think it is the Zionists personally, but whoever it could be. But in the Muslim eschatology, Muslims and Christians unite against a third enemy. They end up defeating that third enemy, and the end of times comes, and various things happen. In the Jewish eschatology, what's going to happen is the end of times comes, and those who've been nice to the Jews, this is according to them, it's the Muslims, because Maimonides used to prefer the Muslims over the Christians. So according to them, it's the Muslims. The Muslims, because they've been nice to them, they get the privilege of being their slaves. 2,800 Muslims to one Jew, 2,800 Muslim slaves to one Jewish man. On the other hand, Christians, because they were mean to them, they're going to be slaughtered and wiped out the face of the earth. What eschatology is more brutal for a Christian out of those two? 1-1.
I don't
you
think he
broke
has
his
the
point.
IQ to answer that question, to be honest.
True.
Bro, I just asked, where are you getting that eschatology from? Is it from the Talmud, the Tanka, or where, or somewhere else?
Okay, so the 2,800 slaves to every Jew is from the Talmud.
Exactly.
The eschatology in terms of the Muslims and the Christians is from two key texts. One is Maimonides. Have you heard of such an
Yeah, but
individual?
these are key texts, bro. These are
And the second
man-made texts.
individual, well, you're talking about text, and I'm talking about text as well. Because
Well,
what
I'm
you're saying,
saying that the
what you
main
said about
text.
Islam, 1 second, when you mentioned eschatology in Islam, that wasn't in the Quran. You mentioned a book.
That's
I'm now
fair.
mentioning a Jewish book. And Maimonides, as an example, holds that position, as it does in many key Ashkenazi Jewish texts. So
This is a
this is
great
a.
point. This is a
Okay,
great point you're making.
so you never answered my question. If based on what I said, for a Christian, whose eschatology is more worse for them?
Well, the eschatology is all man-made bullshit.
No, I never asked that question. I never asked what your thoughts about the eschatology was. Again, you're refusing
Well,
to
there's
answer
two
it.
separate eschatologies. There's the eschatology of the prophets, which is the real eschatology, and then there's the eschatology of people who are.
Again, you're not answering my question.
You're saying
In terms of the two things,
how should
in terms
Christians
of the
feel
two
about
things,
a
in
book
terms
called
of the two,
Maimonides?
by the way, people, I don't mind you doing this because in reality, the people listen and it shows that you're being disingenuous, which is
No,
awesome for
I'm
me
not. I
because it
think
shows.
this is a great
I'm asking
debate.
you a question. For a Christian, whose eschatology is worse? The one where you unite with them or the one where you wipe them out of the planet?
So, the eschatology of Maimonides, yes, they probably don't like that very much.
They don't like it. It's just
Okay,
they don't
but
like
that's
it.
just one book. That's
Okay, yeah.
irrelevant.
Maimonides is one of the key scholars of Jewish tradition. But do me a
It's a
favor.
key
Maimonides
scholar.
wrote
There's a
about
lot
a
of key
quarter of the Talmud.
scholars, and they all have opinions. Just like I have opinions, just like Candace
And
Owens has opinions,
what about the
just like
Talmud?
Alex
Well, okay, what
Jones
about
has
the
opinions.
Talmud? Okay, what about the Talmud? What says that 2,800 goys to one Jew?
Bro, the Talmud is man-made bullshit that was written when the Jews were
Is that
getting.
bullshit as well,
Listen,
bro?
listen,
Oh,
listen,
damn,
listen.
yeah,
They were
sweet,
going.
bro.
They
That's that
wrote
bull.
that. When did they
Well, I
write
think
that?
that's quite anti-Semitic. Disavow his
Bro,
anti-Semitism.
listen,
This
dude.
is
I have my
vile
own beliefs.
anti-Semitism. Calling the Talmud bullshit.
Bro, the
Anyway,
Talmud
continue.
was written when they went into exile, bro. They hated the
Okay,
fucking
cool.
Christians at that
All right,
time, bro.
anyway, move
They
on.
just destroyed the temple.
Okay, cool. Make your next point. I kind of demolished that
All
point.
right,
Continue.
so my point. So we'll let the audience decide. But my next
100%.
point.
I'm very down with the audience
My
deciding
next
on
point.
this.
Yeah, I'll definitely get smoked. But basically, my next point is that where we left off is we're still not addressing the point that this entire conflict is starting from, which is that
Okay.
Gaza kept the prisoners for 2 years. So it's not like they got wiped out on day one. It took 2 years
Did
to
they
get wiped
did
out.
they offer
So it's not
did they
genocide.
offer to give all did they offer to give all of the prisoners back on October the 9th?
As soon as they gave them back, the genocide stopped.
No, again, you're not listening to the question, and I'm glad you called it a genocide. But
It's a suicide.
did you just said the genocide stopped?
Well, that's what you're
Did
calling it.
they
I'm using your
offer?
language.
No, you just said let's just people. This is recording
Yes,
in
I'm
two
using your
different
language, bro. It's
streams.
a suicide. It's a
No, you don't need to use
genocide.
my
Whatever you
language.
want to
Use
call
your
it.
own. You don't need to use my language. Use your
Okay,
own
then it's a
language.
suicide.
And to quote your words, you just said, as soon as they gave the hostages back, the genocide stopped. This is your words.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of coming back to your point, the prisoners, the October 7th happened on October the 7th, correct?
Yes. Well, there's
On
also
October,
years of history behind it. If you want to get into that, we could do
yeah,
that too.
that's fine, bro. Can you never answer a direct
Yes,
question
I'm
without stopping
answering
on?
every time. Go ahead.
Okay. I agree with you. There's a lot of history. The Zionists have been murdering people in that region for a very long time. But in October the 9th, 2 days later, so you know 7th, we're on October 7th, we go forward 2 days to October the 9th. On October the 9th, did they did the resistance, or Hamas as you call it, did they offer to give every single hostage back on October the 9th?
Why didn't they?
Sorry?
Why didn't they?
They did. That's what I'm telling you. I'm asking you, did they
No,
or
I'm
not?
saying,
Yes or no?
let's say they did offer to do that. Why didn't they? Why didn't they just give the
Because
hostages
Israel
back?
said,
Because they wanted
because
other
Israel.
things. Because they
Oh yeah,
wanted
okay.
other
So
things. Yeah, we'll give the hostages back, but let us keep building our fucking military bases that we're going to attack you with over and over after we just kidnapped 300 people. Makes no
okay.
sense,
So one
right?
second. 113.
Doesn't make
113.
sense.
Listen, 113. Okay, let me deal with each one of your points. So the first thing is that you now concede, because it was relayed in your own media, Israeli Times. Have you heard of Israel Times?
Bro, I don't care about all your fucking propaganda shit. Just tell
It's
me.
not about propaganda.
What are
Listen,
the
are you
time? What
retarded?
did the
I'm
Israeli
giving you
Times say?
actual sources. Have you heard of a source before? Are you retarded? So I'm saying in your own media, Israel Times, it literally says, it confirms that Hamas were willing to give every single hostage back on October the
Okay,
9th. Now
so
you just
why
said,
didn't
well,
they?
now you just said, quiet, let me finish my point. So now you just said, oh, well, actually, we didn't want the hostages back because they might build more bases. So actually, you didn't
No,
care about the hostages
that's not
back.
what I said. That's not what I said. I said they
Prisoner,
wanted
Okay.
the
prisoner.
hostages back, but they're not going to give the hostages back while allowing you to build fucking nuclear programs or whatever they're doing, terrorist infrastructure.
They're on nuclear programs
Nah,
now,
no, I
bro. Are
said
you this
whatever. I said
retarded?
whatever. It doesn't
Bro,
matter.
are
It's
you actually this
irrelevant.
retarded? Like, you can't be this slow.
Bro, it
Like,
doesn't.
were you
You're
actually slow?
missing the
Were
point
you in
on
the slow
purpose.
class in
You're
school?
not
This is
being.
crazy. Now you're saying Hamas had a nuclear
No, dude,
bomb.
I'm saying whatever the
Are
case.
you retarded, blood? What is going on with you,
Bro,
G?
I'm saying whatever the
Were
case
you
is, dude.
part of
I'm
the
not
slow?
trying
Were
to
you
get
part of
into.
the slow class? Did your mama drop you when you were awake? Like, what?
Bro,
When you were
you
born?
gotta
What is
be
going on with
fucking
you?
kidding me, dude. Is this your little
Are
technique?
you this slow, bro? Like, how can you be so dumb? Like, do you not even know
Okay. All right,
basics?
let me ask again then. So,
Blood, are you this
dude,
stupid? What is wrong
all
with
you're
you?
doing is trying to yell and talk over when I'm trying to have a serious debate when we're actually getting somewhere,
Bro,
bro, for
how
the
can you have
first
a serious
time.
debate
This
when you
is the
don't even know
first time
basics?
you've
Like,
ever
you don't
gotten
even...
anywhere on your show, bro, and it's because of me. I'm guiding you like a
Bro,
baby,
listen, one
bro. I'm
second,
walking
son.
you through.
Listen, son. I hold the biggest spaces on X with thousands of followers. And nobody know who you are. Let me just check your profile. You call yourself an author, independent philosopher. You got less followers than I have people on my spaces on a daily basis. If I had a space with as less people as you have followers, I wouldn't even run the space. So you don't make nothing, bro.
That's
You
a
are now
red
being given the
herring.
opportunity. You're given the opportunity right now where more people are listening to you than people even follow your page. You've done
Yeah,
3,400
I know, and you're
posts
not letting
on your page.
you're
Listen,
distracting
son.
us from the
Listen,
point.
son. You've done
Oh my
3,400
god.
posts on your page, and less
I'm not trying to
people
grow my
saw
page
your
yet.
page. Less people saw your tweet than
Dude,
are
trust
listening to
me.
you right now on this page. You ain't made nothing, son.
When
I
I
gave
want
you
you
the
to know
opportunity in life.
about me, you're gonna know about me. All right? Trust me.
Bro, no one wants to know about you.
Yeah,
Like, if
because
I want to know
it's
about
not
someone
time
who's
yet, buddy.
slow, if I want to know about some more slow person, I will just go to
Dude, it's
school,
not
go to the
time for you
bottom
to know
set,
about me.
and I would find 1,000 kids like you. Like, you ain't all that,
Bro,
son.
you can't even hold the fucking line of logic without spazzing out.
Bro, I literally been decimating every
Dude,
single one
you're
of your
not
points. You
decimating
literally were
shit,
like,
bro. You're
I
just
literally
yelling.
destroyed your point about eschatology. I destroyed your
Dude,
point
you're
about
fucking
Shia Muslims.
bro, I'm
You
asking you the
literally
definition.
said, you're literally so slow. You said Hamas have nuclear bombs, bro. Like, are you
What
that
was my
slow?
point? What was my point? You don't know shit. You
I
don't
tell
know
you,
anything I'm saying because you're just talking over me
oh
trying to
yeah,
get your little
no one
talking
knows the
points.
point you're making because you're so stupid.
Bro,
Like, you've not had
my
a line
point
of
was
thought that
fucking
makes sense
simple.
whatsoever.
Why would we fucking give the hostages back when
Wait, 1 second, 1 second, 1 second, one more. Can you not swear on the space? I know you're used to being uncivilized. You don't have any decorum. I understand a lot of slow kids have to
I
swear. And
apologize.
by slow kids, I don't mean disabled. I mean people who are like bottom set. They didn't get learned to read or write or weren't educated properly. They've got the mental acumen to
Okay.
do so, but they've never ever been educated. So please, can you not swear in the space? Let's have a discussion without you having to use profanity because you're not able to use the correct word to link one word to another. But do
Perfect.
continue.
Perfect. So let's slow it down. So basically my point is we're at why would we give the hostages back when
Why would you give the hostages back?
why would we accept a deal
Can you
that
even use the English language properly? Should Israel
can
have the
you stop
hostages?
cutting me off? Why would we
No,
allow
but you're just not even using English properly. Like, you're butchering the English
well
language
because
so badly. So
I'm
now you
nailing
just
down
said,
my
why
point
would
before I say
we?
it to you, bro.
Now you just said, why would we give the hostages back?
Oh
So
my
what? We
fucking
is
god,
you as
dude.
in Hamas? Were you part of the resistance, or do you mean we as in Israel? When you use the word we, who is part of your we? So you and who else had the hostages?
This is like cool for show, but it doesn't make you win the point.
Oh no, it's just I'm just demonstrating. Oh, I haven't. There's no point. I haven't won a point.
I
I'm
know,
just demonstrating to
exactly.
the
No one
audience.
has.
Oh no, there's no point.
No
There's no
one's won
point
a
being won
point
because you
out
haven't
of
made
either
it.
of us
There's no
because you're
point being won
fucking
because
just
you haven't
talking
made a
circles.
point.
Oh,
What I'm
sorry.
demonstrating to the audience is your butchering of the English language, where you're not even able to relay a point without it
Oh
being
my god, I
inaccurate or
can't relay
logical.
a
But do
point
continue.
because you keep talking. All right, now basically the point that we're
Continue.
leaving
But
off,
please be accurate. So who do you mean by we though?
the point we left off is that
Okay.
the Hamas is offering the hostages back, but they're
Mm-hmm.
doing
Yeah.
so where the terms are dangerous for Israel to accept. Right?
What's these dangerous terms?
What were the terms, or you don't know either?
I'm gonna tell you.
Okay.
So if you ask me, oh Suleiman, please can you educate me
Educate me,
and let me know what the
Solomon.
terms are? If you thank you. If you say that, then of course I will answer your
Educate
question.
me,
So the terms were
please.
actually very simple. The terms were very simple. They were, look, we have these hostages, we have these prisoners. We want to give these prisoners back because we don't want this to escalate. We will give every single prisoner back. The only thing we ask is that you don't destroy Gaza. As per what you said, don't commit a genocide in Gaza.
Yes.
Israel said, 1 second, Israel said, actually, we don't care about the hostages. We want to destroy Gaza. We want to decimate Gaza. We want to cause a
That's a
Gaza
lie,
genocide.
bro.
And so, what that demonstrates is Israel's actions
Bro,
demonstrate
you're
that
lying.
they
You're
never cared
lying. That's
about
not what the
Israel.
Israel said
You
they're
asked me a
doing.
question, I'm answering your question.
Well, you're
Israel's
lying right now. I
actions,
want to stop you now.
I'm not lying, I'm telling the truth. Israel's actions demonstrated that they never cared about the hostages.
Bro,
They only wanted to destroy
you
Gaza,
just
or as
admitted
you
you
said,
don't
commit a
know.
genocide in Gaza. Because if they cared about the hostages, they would have given the hostages back. Heck, do you know 1-1? Because it seems like you're very new to this. You're talking to someone who's
Well,
covered this every
you
single day
see, I
for the
wanted
past
to
3 years.
stop you because you
Let
said a
me
lie, and now you're
no,
finishing
but
a
one
point
second.
and
Let me
moving
just
on
make
to
this
another
last point.
point before you let me
No,
correct you.
no, it's the same point.
That's
I assure you, it's the
cowardly.
same point. It's about
That's
hostages.
cowardly.
I assure you, it's the same point, and then I will let you respond. You also know that within the first few weeks of the immediately after the aftermath of October the 7th being a military operation, immediately in the aftermath of October the 7th, there was two elderly hostages The resistance had those 2 elderly hostages. They were very ill, and they realized that they don't have the medication in order to help support them in Gaza.
Oh, that's
And so
really
what they
good
did was,
story, bro. That's really
and I'm
nice of
going to tell you
them.
the whole story. Don't worry, son. Don't worry, son. I'm educating you. So then what they did was they reached out to Israel and said, look, these 2 elderly hostages, we can't, basically, we haven't got the medication for them. Please take them back. Give them medical
Yeah, well,
assistance.
they're
Like,
not
we
falling
can't
for
keep
that
them.
shit, bro. Too
And then
risky.
what happened was Israel, one second, Israel, what they did was they essentially said, we don't want those hostages back. We don't care about them. So then what the resistance did was they blasted this information out on social media. They said, we've got these hostages. Israel doesn't want these hostages back. And these hostages are struggling. And only after they blasted it on social media and Israel got exposed that they finally said, okay, we'll take these 2 prisoners back. And then they took the 2 prisoners. So again, demonstrating that Israel has never cared about the hostages. They don't care about them whatsoever.
That's
By the way,
so
Joa
funny.
and Junior's here as well, and as many others, so they could jump in whenever they want. Go ahead,
Yes.
Mom.
And in fact,
And ID.
I would just
I
jump
told you
in
you
and
weren't
just
gonna let
say,
me
sir,
answer that.
as a fellow New Yorker, my man, I just want to say there are actually protests in Israel by the families of the hostages themselves who were speaking out and saying, we want the hostages to come home because there was no priority placed on getting the hostages home. These are just facts, unfortunate facts. Netanyahu has never cared about the hostages. In fact, on October 7th, as you may have heard, there was something called the Hannibal Directive,
See, you keep
where
talking about what
you know,
Netanyahu thinks, and that's just unfair, bro.
it's not
It's
thinking,
not
sir.
fair.
It's
It's
not thinking.
unfair.
These are
You're no,
facts. There was
how he thinks is a fact. Come on, you don't even. Come on,
no,
you're talking.
not thinks. There is a Hannibal Directive that was put in place. That's an operation. It's an operation, a military
Okay, you're saying
operation,
why he did it.
and
What? That's a
And
different thing.
okay, we don't need to think about, okay, I don't understand why you're talking about what he thinks.
You did.
Bottom line is there was a directive that was put in place where Israeli soldiers fired on their own people because it's better for Israelis to die than to be captured. That's a fact. You can read it in the Israeli press. And actually, I encourage you to read the Israeli press because it's very honest and straightforward. They say things right out in the open, sir. So we're not out here trying to
But
Yeah.
that's not
not
what
tell
the
you the
Hannibal
facts or
No,
Directive
you
whatever.
just
was
say your
We're
point,
about.
telling
and
you
then you
what it
walk on,
is.
Ma'am, that was not what
and
the
then I'm
Hannibal
about to respond.
Directive was about, though. It was about manufacturing consent. They wanted to be able to do the genocide and use these people as human shields, which is what they
Genocide.
did
They
in
wanted
Gaza.
the genocide.
They're
So
murdering
it was
people.
a giant
83%
conspiracy.
civilians, idiot. 83% civilian casualty rate. They're looking for one member of Hamas and almost 100 people. Are you a fucking idiot to not call that a genocide?
Right,
Moron.
Joey, this is the 3rd time I've brought you up on the stage, and each time you crash out, you start screaming and you start swearing. So if you're unable to have this conversation without acting with some decorum, I'm never going to bring you up again. So
Suleiman, they
this is
always
like the
accuse
3rd or
you.
4th time I brought you up, and you're just uncivilized. So next time, please, can you act civilized?
Sorry, Sully.
Suleiman, can you hear
Sorry.
me?
Yeah,
People,
go ahead,
dumb
Junior.
people like that make me
Yeah,
mad.
I just want to
What
say
did you say?
something real quick. They
Wait, what did Joey say?
I said,
I have
sorry,
no idea.
Sully. But like
I
dumb
appreciate
people
it.
like that guy make me mad a little bit, and
No,
I
but don't get
lost my
mad, isn't
temper.
it? He's getting decimated anyway, so why are you getting mad? Why are you getting emotional? He's getting all his points are getting decimated or destroyed. Why are you screaming and actually making it work? You're basically helping him out. Joe, jump in.
Yeah, so look, my brain hurts. It's when there's so much intellect on this stage, I'm not saying that 113 9 0 10. And if you look at his banger tweets, some of the stuff he says, like what was
Woo-wee!
one? Suppression, sophistication, and structural coherence, or the what was the other one I saw?
Yeah, I wrote 5
Utopia,
books.
suppression, fantasy, coherence as a structural condition. I'm not saying you're the dumbest person on the platform, but you better hope JP doesn't die, because then I think you'd take the
Dumbest
title.
person. Wait till
Uh,
you see what.
and hold on, and your Substack is completely all AI driven, and you can tell when you look at your tweets, you don't speak with this vocabulary. You don't use this vocabulary whatsoever as you're speaking on the
Is your
stage.
point that I
So,
didn't build the
since
framework?
reality is an actual system, there should be a specific way to frame an extension that, once exposed, functionally guarantees universal alignment. Like, this is how you speak on your tweets,
Yeah.
but then on
Do you
stage
want me
you
to
sound
explain
like
it to
you
you?
sound like you use basic vocabulary.
Do you want me to
So
explain
which
it to
one
you?
is it?
Do you
Yeah, it
think
looks like you're faking. It looks like you're faking your tweets by using AI, and they look like they're
So
just
you're
posted
okay. So
through
that's your
AI.
point.
And
Is
so does your
that
Substack. And you know why your Substack looks that way? Because it has M dashes everywhere.
do you,
So your thought isn't even original,
do,
and you're trying to portray yourself
so
as intelligent when you're up
so
here
you're saying
and you're
AI
showing
is
that you
mimicking
have
my thoughts?
absolutely no intelligence whatsoever.
Nah,
So,
he cooked
And
you,
you're
bro. He cooked you, bro. It's time to go home. Wrap
bro,
it up,
you
bro.
see, you keep saying you cooked me and then not letting me
Wrap
explain.
it
It's
up, bro.
unfair.
You
no,
cooked
no,
yourself.
please do,
You
but use
cooked
the same
yourself.
vocabulary you use on your tweets, please.
Do you
On
want me
what?
to
On
explain
what?
how reality
Can I?
works? Because then I could
Can,
talk I could talk systems language with you. If you want me to
Yes,
hold up,
please
explain,
talk.
hold up.
Yes,
You're
please
you have
talk
reading
time for
about
stuff,
that? How
bro.
much
system
time
lang
do you
the
want to give me without
divergence,
cutting me
the
off?
divergence of the coherence of the
How much time do you want to give
existential
me without cutting me
structures
off?
of reality in a
Yeah, no, let's
5D
do it, big
world.
boy.
Please talk to me about
No,
that.
big boy. You want to let me talk for 10, 15
He's
minutes? I'll
reading your
explain to you how the
tweets,
universe
dumbass.
works.
Bitboy, I'm reading your tweets.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm responding to you by saying, if you let me speak, I could talk systems language for you. I could talk 15 minutes, explain to you how reality actually
No,
works.
no, we trust me.
Exactly,
Everyone
bro.
would leave if you
Exactly,
talk for
bro.
15
You're
minutes.
all talk, bro.
Everyone will
You're all
leave.
talk. You talk
Bro,
shit and then you can't
read
back
the
it up, and I
title of the
confront
space,
you.
bro. Read the title of the space. What does it say? Does it say
Okay,
language?
you're the one who's bringing us all these
Does it say
places, talking about
one
my
space?
tweets and stuff,
No, do you
talking
see
about
how
my
your
book.
presence do you see how your presence is a fucking parasitic plague? It's a fucking
Well,
disease. Your
well,
own
that's because
presence.
you
All
guys
right,
want to talk
Junior.
and
Now
You're
agree with me,
proving
big
his
you're
bro.
not
point.
swearing on the space, bro. What is going on? Right? Okay. No, everyone, put your hands up, and me and Joe
Yeah,
are gonna deal with this guy. I
yeah.
thought I let
Look,
other people do it, but they
I
just can't
I
do it.
literally
They're not on
yesterday,
our level.
Suleiman said. I literally yesterday said, look, I don't think this is going to be prolonged. We're going to be hitting, and I've been saying this. We're going to be hitting certain locations, and that's it. I believe it's energy infrastructure. I understand some people don't believe it. Right now,
Yeah,
I
the attack on Kesham Island wasn't energy infrastructure, by the way. Do continue.
but that is the island where most of the energy is.
That
So
well, so now
I'm
it
still
now your
waiting.
theory works that if
And
there's energy anywhere in the world and you don't hit that and hit somewhere else, that means you're going to energy infrastructure.
well, there's evidence that there
So
is as
if there's
well. I'm
energy in
waiting
Russia
for
and you hit
confirmation.
like I don't know like a warehouse in Russia, that means you're going after energy infrastructure.
Well, Ukraine did hit the energy
No,
infrastructure,
no,
right?
this
Yesterday.
no, that's actually hitting energy infrastructure.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
the
I
argument you're
agree.
proffering right now is if you
No,
hit a
no,
location that also has energy infrastructure, but you don't hit
no.
the energy infrastructure, that
I'm
means
not
you're going
making
after.
that argument. I'm having confirmation. I'm waiting for a confirmation that that antenna is not the only thing that hit. Just like a lot more ships are getting through because they're spoofing the GPS on the boats, and there's someone who actually went out there and actually took photos and information, and everyone now can see that there's actually a lot more ships getting through because they're spoofing the location so they don't get targeted by the U.S. And this came out from uh, what was the name of the
Yeah, that's true.
company?
That's true. We've been
Yeah,
saying that.
yeah, and or else oil will be at $150. So everyone's using AI like this guy to go do research. I call it the age of the artificially intelligent,
Bro,
and that's what
hop in
That's a
the
and
good
that's what's
one.
debate room with me
happening.
one on one, bro. I will smoke you, dude. I'll run circles around you.
Oh damn,
Yeah, I can
that's a
tell
threat.
by the
That's a
language you
threat,
use
Okay,
on
Joe.
the
then do
stage
it,
and the
bro.
one you use in
I'll bet you
tweets.
$1,000.
Yeah, she'll bet me
Wow.
$1,000.
Yeah, you want to bet $1,000? I'll let you pick the
The
topic.
last guy that bet me
Bro,
a
we'll put it
thousand
in
dollars, his
escrow, dude.
IQ
We'll
was
let
higher than
fucking
mine.
Salmani hold it.
The
I don't
last
give a
guy that
fuck,
bet
bro. Sorry,
the
sorry,
la-
sorry, sorry.
oh look, you
Control
so
yourself,
see
113. I know
intelligent
you're
people typically
uncivilized.
don't
You're
get
not able to
emotionally
string two
triggered.
words together without swearing, but just control yourself,
I know,
bro.
I know, I know. I'm a little reckless, but I know what I'm talking about.
Okay, go on then. Make your
Yeah.
point, and then Joe can
Well, if you
respond.
want $1,000, I mean, you're talking all this smack. If you want $1,000, I'll make a bet with you. You could pick the topic, but I control the debate. Okay, I control the muting. You have to answer my questions directly. I'll answer your
Okay,
questions.
none of that is happening. You're living in delusions of grandeur. You've got
Bro, it's
like 200
$1,000. I'm
followers.
not talking to you. I'm talking to
No,
Andy.
there's no
This dude
thousand.
thinks he
Wait,
killed the
one
king,
second.
Suleiman. He's trying to take your throne
Dude, I'm
No,
not even
in it,
talking about
what's
without
this
ever
guy
Salmani. I
doing,
doing
bro?
can
What's
anything.
this
respect
guy doing?
Salmani.
So listen, dude. First of all, this is my space. You ain't gonna be making no rules in this space. You're being given an opportunity to have a conversation with
No,
someone
I'm
on this
talking
space.
about a
If you don't
separate
want
time
to,
with him. We don't.
you will be just dropped, and we'll continue this conversation on. Like I
Fine.
said to
My
you,
main point
this is
is
a dream. Keep quiet while I'm talking. Like I said to you, this is a dream for you. Where you have more people on this space listening to you in this minute
this
than
is
have
just practice.
watched any. Okay, if you interrupt one more time, you will be dropped. So, like I said to you, you've got more people listening to you on this space than anyone who saw any of your tweets and anyone who reacted to your tweets after you posted 3,200 tweets. So, this is a very unique opportunity. Don't lose out. This is what I said in life. You only ever get small opportunities. This, you've been given an opportunity. You've been gifted this opportunity. Don't lose or mess up this opportunity. So relay your point to Joa and then let Joa decimate it. Go ahead.
Okay, so the last point I'll make before I get out of here is basically the main question. You guys are talking about all of these random things that are happening, but it really comes down to, do you believe Israel cares if Iran has nukes? Do you think, from not from your perspective, if it's justified to think that or not? That doesn't matter. It only matters, do you think Israel, from their perspective, doesn't want Iran to have nukes?
What do you think?
I think they don't, obviously.
Oh, they don't care if Iran has nukes. Why don't you think that they care
No,
if
I
Iran
said
has nukes?
I said I think that they care that they don't have nukes. They don't want them to have nukes.
Oh, they don't want them to have. Bro, your English is so bad. Okay, they don't want them to have nukes. Okay, cool. And
This
so,
guy's fucking
But
retarded,
who in
bro.
this space believes that Israel wants them to have nukes?
Okay, so then they're
I'm
justified.
asking you a question.
I don't think
Who
anyone. I
in
mean, I
because you
don't know.
want to
It's just how
debate.
What
stupid
You
you
want to
guys are.
debate a
hold up,
point,
Suleiman.
and
Suleiman,
the
what
question
emoji are
to
we
you
throwing
is,
up?
who in this space believes that? I don't get your point.
Well, I'm clarifying. So none of you guys think that Israel wants Iran to have nukes.
Of course, they don't want Iran to have nukes,
Okay,
Sultan. What are
good.
you talking about?
So
That's what this war's all about.
exactly. So then they're
Well, part of
justified.
it.
They're justified to do all of this
Why?
because Iran's trying to make nukes.
But Israel's got nukes, haven't they?
Okay, what does that have to do with them wanting Iran to have nukes or not?
So I don't even get your point. Are you trying to say
You're
that Israel doesn't want Iran to have nukes, therefore they're justified to attack Iran?
when they're building nukes, yeah.
Okay, where's the evidence they're building nukes?
Well, that's what the whole war is about. You just admitted that.
No,
You
I
just said
said
that
that
5 seconds ago.
yeah, I said that's a large part
Oh
of
my
what the war
god.
is about for Israel, but it's not just nukes. Israel said they don't
It
want them to
doesn't
have
matter if
ballistic.
it's just nukes. That's the main part.
No,
Can
well,
I
I
ask
don't
you?
think it's the main. Well, for Israel, they also don't want them to have ballistic missiles as well. Correct?
Okay, good.
Do you
So
agree?
that makes even more sense. So then why
Do
would they
you
want
agree
them?
that for Israel, it's not? It's also that they don't want Iran to have give support to the resistance.
Yes, yeah, all of those things,
Okay.
yeah.
So you agree it's not just the nukes, right?
Yeah, that's why it's happening though, because Iran's doing all of those things.
No,
Okay, cool.
Can I ask you a
they
question? Can
You
I
just
ask you a
said the
Go ahead.
reason
question?
for the
It's
war is
really
because of the
simple. A
nukes.
really simple
Oh, the
Why
question.
are you
smarty
contradicting
pants
yourself?
wants to talk to me. Go ahead, smarty pants.
Yeah,
drop
because
this
you had
idiot.
you had
Hell.
such deep insight that
Yeah,
everyone agreed
I
with what
know.
you said, so it's actually common knowledge. But I want to know: do you think any country around the world wants a country who has not signed either the nuclear proliferation agreement or the bioweapon agreement, and is the only country on the face of the planet that has not signed either one of those? Do you think the world, any country in the world, wants a country like that?
Exactly. So now you see why Israel is
Oh, so
justified.
Oh my
no.
God, Noah, he missed it.
Dude, yeah,
See,
that's the point.
this is. I knew
Israel
he
is
would miss
justified because you
this.
guys are all giving them a fucking giving
I
them a
know,
hard time.
I know you would miss this because if it's not okay for Iran to have nukes, then it's definitely not okay for a country who did not sign the nuclear proliferation agreement,
But they already have the
or the
nukes, buddy.
bioweapon,
They
or
already
the
have the
bioweapon
nukes.
agreement,
It's
or
an
the
irrelevant
bioweapon
point.
agreement.
It's
Can I
irrelevant.
finish? I
They
didn't
don't
interrupt
have
you.
nukes. They
Israel
do
has
not
nukes,
have
bro.
nukes.
Israel
Israel
has
does not
nukes.
have nukes. You know how we know? Because Israel's told us. Israel's told us they don't have nukes.
Oh my god! And
That's
you
why
believe
they don't
now?
have.
You believe that?
That,
This is the only time in the world
no,
you
I'm
believe that?
being sarcastic, you moron.
Okay, so then they have nukes. That's what I said,
And you know what? When you have a fight, you ever been in a fight on the street,
dude.
man? You
Can
ever
you
get?
just
Did
talk and
anyone ever
stay on
come at
point,
you?
bro?
Did anyone ever come at you and challenge you physically, threatened you physically? Right? Did they ever say, "Hey, look, you can't use your right hand. You can't defend yourself the way that you want"?
Well,
If my
who had the
enemy
leverage?
has a gun, I want a gun. If my enemy has a
And
knife,
if your
I
enemy
want a
has the gun,
knife.
do you think he's gonna wait for you to get a gun because he says, "Hey, what's fair is
They
fair.
can
I have the
have
gun."
nukes. Everybody fucking has nukes. China's
Except for
Russia.
Iran, buddy.
Pakistan's got them.
Except for
Russia's got them.
Iran. Except for
America's got
Gaza.
them. We've all got them.
Dude,
They
you're
want
not
to disarm
talking to me,
Iran.
bro.
They want to
You're talking
disarm
about
Iran.
my
They
intelligence.
want to disarm Iran
You
so
can't
they
hold the
can
line of
attack
logic. This
them.
is a joke. You can't
You're
hold the
a
line of logic.
moron.
You're
You're
an
calling me a
absolute joke, dude.
Dude, that makes absolutely
Must be
no
a slow
sense.
day down the Chabad tunnels. You've been in here running your mouth for the last hour, homeboy.
Fucking pedophile, probably. Get this
Oh
guy
my
off the
God, there you
stage.
go, bro. Exactly. That's why we don't want
Yeah,
you to have
that
Guys,
there
nukes.
you
guys, let's
go,
chill out. Let's chill
bro.
out.
Yeah, that's why we don't want you to have
Let's chill out.
nukes. You're,
Let's chill out and respect Suleiman's space. All right.
Well, somebody's
These
letting it
guys are
go,
fucking
so he
idiots.
knows what I do in this
well,
This
situation.
because
guy's
this is the
fucking
first
retarded.
time you guys have
He's like,
actually had a conversation about this and squeezed the
You're an
truth on the
You
idiot.
have
table.
no
how the
idea what
word
you're talking about.
Israeli
We have
You're
been
an
sucks.
idiot.
discussing this for 20
Yeah,
years,
amongst
bro.
yourselves,
Since
bro.
we were
Amongst
born,
You're
yourselves and
better
your
than
we
echo
have been
30 years.
discussing
chambers.
this.
Well,
You've
You
never
are a
gotten
time
into
clown. You
a
are
out.
texture like
new.
Sorry.
this.
You don't
It's
know anything,
ridiculous. I'm
and
getting
you need.
Okay, guys, there's way too much screaming. I don't
This
get it. What's
Israeli
going on?
sucks. Bring
So,
another one.
guys, stop screaming. What did you say, Junior?
I said, this Israeli sucks. Bring another one.
Okay. Okay, cool. So one thing I will say, 1-1, is that you did a really bad job. You've tried to make it look like we've not discussed these things with your people, but actually, we've had many, many debates and decimated every single
I
one
know
of
it's
your
embarrassing. My people are embarrassing. They can't hold the line of logic. No one can debate this.
in
This
it.
is I'm like the only
Like, if
one.
you look at my 1 second, if you look at my debate with your Rabbi Shmuli, he got absolutely decimated. If you look at my debate with your Shabbos Kestenbaum,
So you've
he got
decimated me? You consider
oh
this
yeah,
decimating me?
you were too easy, bro. You weren't to be
Bro,
You're
honest.
not
I
even in the
beat
To
same
you.
be
league.
honest,
I
to
beat
be
you.
honest,
I literally just
like, you
beat you.
made Rabbi Shmuley look smart, and he ain't even that smart.
Absolutely.
Bro, no,
And
it just made me look
Shabbos
sporadic.
Kestenbaum, I would say he's one
I
of
could do a
your.
better job easily. This is my first time doing a debate in
He,
months.
oh, bro, it was really bad. Like, I
I
felt bad
know,
for you.
dude. I know,
This
but
was
my
so
point
bad.
still stands,
Like,
bro.
the point is, no, 1 second, because you made
Because
the
I'm
claim
still
that we've
confused. We
not.
haven't gotten
Right,
anywhere. I've
right.
still
1 second. You made the claim that we've not talked to any Zayo, but we actually
I
decimate
don't
them.
watch your show like that,
So,
bro.
so I know you don't, because I told you this is the first time you've come on a big show. It's your dream come
I've come
true.
on your show before.
Really, I don't even know you. I don't remember you.
Well, my name was
You
Ben
didn't even
Habrit.
you didn't even leave a you didn't even leave any kind
Well,
of
my name was
imprint on
different, and my
or
picture was
what
different.
or what was your name and picture?
Ben Habrit. It was a picture of me as a kid.
Ben what?
Habrit.
No, I don't even remember that as well.
Yeah, the last time I talked, we were talking about this same point where.
Don't remember you. Don't remember you. You just saw
Well, I
you
came on
you
months
must not have
ago.
left an impression, bro.
No, I left an impression.
So
Trust me.
only thing I'll say is look 1-1. You need to do something really important because you're giving these Zayos a bad name because like Zayos
Well,
are
I'm winning
dumb,
the
right? But the
argument,
thing
bro.
is, Zayos are dumb. But the issue is also even for the smart Zayos, because not every
No,
Zayo
I
is
need
dumb,
to
right?
walk. Do you want me to
But
walk you back
even
to the point we're
can
at?
you just keep quiet while I'm talking? So Zayos are dumb, but not every single one of them are dumb. Some of them are smart, but the problem is they are trying to defend an indefensible position, and this is why they lose in every single debate. And so,
I just defended it. It's a matter of
even one who
perspective.
may be decent at debating struggles to debate. Now, your problem isn't even that. Your problem is that either you have low intellect or
You know that's not true. You know that's
I
not.
do actually,
You out
because
of all the
you've not
people
That
been
on
is
able
stage
to
100%
think
what it
you've
is.
not
Yeah.
been able to
no. You think it's
relay
true. I
one
know. I know
basic
you.
you've not
But
been able to
Solomon knows that's
relay
not true.
one basic train of thought. So for you the issue isn't that. For you the issue is
Dude, I'm the only person who
for
knows where.
you the issue is either intellect or it is on the other hand that you just have a lack of knowledge. For example, I asked you what's eschatology, you didn't know what that was. I asked you what a Shia Muslim was, you didn't know what that was. I asked you many basic things that every single person listening to this space, all 1,000 people know. So if you're basically in a space where the entire listening audience, whether it's 1,000 on here and how many are on YouTube right now, just chilling and listening, a few hundred on YouTube, um, if all of them basically understand that your lack of your knowledge level is below them,
How
why
is
would they
my
want to listen to you when you don't even have basic knowledge? You didn't have knowledge of that. You didn't have knowledge that the resistance wanted to give all of
Don't
the
worry about how I'm gonna
hostages back
do
on
it.
October the 9th. You didn't even know what Israeli Times was. You didn't even know the 2008 slaves, 2,800 guys. So the issue you've
Yeah,
got
but I know
is
exactly where the confusion
so
is, and you
the
don't.
issue you've got is
You have no idea where the
it's
confusion
a
is, and I do.
combination of a lack of intelligence as well as a lack of
Oh
knowledge.
my god, you
And that's
just keep
highly
talking.
problematic because at least a person who's not intelligent reads and so they can relate things using rote memory, as in memorize something and
So
then
what's my point?
relate.
What's
Okay.
my point, Smarty Pants?
If you interrupt me one more time, I'm gonna drop you because you need to be civilized in my space. This isn't one of those screaming spaces. So if you lack decorum and you demonstrate your Jewish supremacy where you believe that you can talk over a goy, that's not gonna happen in this space. For the goys have power, the goys can speak, and the goys are numerable, and the goys have already exposed you people. So control yourself and keep your mic muted. So, like I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, and this is a lesson for you and your Zionist buddies, that when someone lacks intelligence, there's actually a way of combating that issue. What you do is you read a lot and you memorize because that won't increase your intelligence level, but at least you'll have read something and you have rote memory, which means to relay something that you have memorized. Now, you've not even done that because you've not even read. So what your problem is isn't just a lack of intelligence, because you clearly have that, because you can't have a single line train of thought, nor can you make an argument that makes sense, as in A plus B equals C. But that's not your only problem. Your other problem is that you've not read. And so what I implore you is, if you want to continue debating this position, and there is a big gap of people who want to debate this because every single old Zionist has been decimated so badly, they've run away. So there is a gap in the market, right? And if you want to be big on social media, this is my education to you, because as someone who's become big on a number of social medias, you find a gap in the market and you plug yourself into that gap in the market. So there is a gap in the Zionist market. Your problem, two main problems are you lack intelligence and you also lack reading, as in you have not read up on the source material. So my suggestion to you is to go back, read the source material, educate yourself, and then maybe once you've read the source material, educated yourself, and know the information well, you can come back and relay the information in raw memory style. Now, the problem with that is going to be is when you come on this, on other, so the issue is when you go on other spaces or have conversations with other people, you'll have a chance. You'll have a chance against them, right? Because you've learned things on raw memory. Unfortunately for you, on this space, that's not going to work, because on here, people have heard people who've got the raw memory talking points and they've been able to decimate them as well. So that's kind of the problematic situation you're in, but that's kind of my advice to you. Hopefully you take it on board. But you being a Jewish supremacist, you probably won't listen to a guy, and this is why you continue to be stupid.
No, I appreciate the encouragement. Honestly, I really do. And, you kind of pushing me forward with that. My main thing is I'm still confused, right? I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
I'm
You
saying
are.
that it's a
Yeah,
matter of
very,
perspective. Why would
very
Israel
confused.
want Iran to have nuclear bombs? Right? You both said they wouldn't want Iran to have nuclear bombs. But Iran is building nuclear bombs and they're helping the Hamas infrastructure and they're doing all the things that you mentioned.
Was Iran building a nuclear bomb when it was part of the JCPOA?
Are they doing it now? Are they
Answer the
giving it
question.
up? You're
Answer the
not answering the
question.
question, and that's why I'm
No,
still
I asked you a
confused.
question.
I'm
Once you
still
answer my
confused
question,
because
I'll
you
answer your question.
no, but you never do answer my
No, no,
question.
I will. I will. I
No, you
assure
don't
you.
though.
You have my
You said
word.
this three
I'm
times.
not a Jewish supremacist. You have my
You've already
word.
given
I
me your
asked you a
word.
question. You answer my question, and then I'll answer yours.
Fine. What? But remember my question. Write it down.
Don't
I'm gonna
worry. I don't need
forget.
to write. I don't need to write it down. Trust me. Again, it's just that you're trying to impute your lack of intelligence on me, but I'll
Oh
remember your
my
question.
God! You
Go
see,
ahead.
that's why I want you to just answer my question because you keep talking about all these random
Okay,
things,
you got
insulting me.
3 seconds to answer my question, or you're going to be
Okay,
dropped.
go ahead.
Answer my question. You got 3 seconds.
What's your question?
Did Iran follow the JCPOA?
I know, but then it's like you got to explain what the JCPOA is. Bro.
Wow.
Okay. So, so can you
Oh my
see
Just
what
do
I
it
God.
real
mean? So,
quick,
like,
dude. You see
can you
what
see all the
you're doing?
emojis?
You see what you're
So
doing? I said you
one.
weren't going to
So
answer my
can you
question.
see all the
I said
emojis
you
on
weren't going
the?
to answer my
Can you?
question. I'm
One
not
one three.
running.
I'm gonna answer your question. Let
I'm
me
not
respond to
running.
this.
I'm
And
asking
let me
you to
respond to
clarify.
this. Let me respond to this, and I will answer your question. So, can you see all the emojis on the space? The reason is
I
because
don't care
again,
what those
all
stupid idiots
thousand
think.
people,
Sorry.
all 1,300 people. I think it's 1,500 listening amongst the different platforms. People know the answer to this, and so once again, that the piece of advice I gave
You
you
see
about
how
reading
you
up.
have just
Okay, you keep interrupting, right? This isn't a Jewish supremacist space. I'm answering, I'm gonna respond to you, and then I said I'm gonna answer your question. Do not interrupt me. So, as I was saying, you can see 1,000 people on here, 1,500 people listening amongst the various platforms right now. It is a bit of more of a smaller space right now, but 5x your followers. Now, the reason everyone's doing the laughing emoji right now is because they all know what the JCPOA is. And the reason they know is because they've read up on it. And this is why I keep saying that you're someone who not only lacks intelligence, but you also lack reading. So the JCPOA was a nuclear agreement between Iran, the United States of America, and various other countries were involved. And the agreement was that Iran would not enrich enriched uranium above 3.67%. They followed that concisely. They had cameras there. The IAE would come and inspect regularly. And then Trump tore it up. So Iran followed all of that. Even though I think Iran made an error, they should have they should have got a nuclear bomb, because Israel has a nuclear bomb. Iran should have a nuclear
Trust me,
bomb
they
that is
tried, bro.
the great of equalizer. Now, in terms of right now, what Iran has done is they haven't got a nuclear bomb. What they've got is they've enriched uranium up to 60%. And anybody who knows about nuclear enriched uranium, which you don't know, obviously, once you've got 60%, it's very easy to get to 90%. But they've not gone to 90% because their aim wasn't to get a nuclear bomb. Their aim was to enrich uranium so that they could use it as a point of
And that's
negotiation
the
in this
bullshit.
deal.
That's the
And as
BS.
part of this deal, if you interrupt me one more time, you're going to be dropped. As part of this deal, as part of this deal, they agreed that they would dilute their 60% as long as other concessions were given by the United States of America. So, first of all, they've not been trying to do it anyway. But even if they were trying to do it, it's no one else's business, because at the end of the day, it's their own sovereign right to get a nuclear
Same with,
bomb.
and it's Israel's sovereign right to not let them.
Can
Yeah,
I
and,
can
and and the issue you've got there is Israel can attack Iran, of course they can, and then Iran can decimate Israel. But Israel's problem is that they don't want to attack Iran on their own. They want to use every other nation to do
Oh,
so,
they're
because
using their leverage. Oh, that's so bad of them. They're using their
Israel is a
leverage.
weak, fragile
Oh, they're
nation
using their
that is
leverage. Oh,
no, so Israel is forcing the United States of
they're
America and
forcing.
various other
Oh,
countries
because of
to
the
fight for
Epstein
them.
blackmail
So
list.
in reality, and what's happened with that one
They're
is
forcing. No, they're
that because
leveraging.
Israel used the United States of America to do
They're
so, the
leveraging
US
their
saw
asset, which is the
the
United
US saw
States. They're a
the
partner.
okay, they're not a partner. So they've used the United States of America and they've weakened the United States of America. Right now, Trump is in a form of desperation. He doesn't know what to do. He wants a deal, but he's not able to. He wants to concede to everything that Iran says, but at the same time, his Israeli masters are not letting him do so. So you're right in saying that Israel, this war is all about Israel. Israel started this war. Israel only cares about this war. They're a warmongering nation. And they forced all of these nations to do so. As you said, they had leverage. What that leverage is, you know better. Probably the Epstein files, could be
Well, the leverage
blackmail,
is
could be
radical
money, could
Islam.
be various other things. As you said, the word you used was leverage. They do have leverage. They've used that leverage against
The
Donald
leverage
Trump
is
and the United
Iran
States of
with
America
using
and the
nuclear
Gulf
weapons
states.
as leverage
And
is
they've
bad.
essentially caused a situation which is the end of the American empire.
Well, I
And so
want to
what we're
clarify
seeing
the
now
main
is
point, which is that the leverage is that
what?
Iran using nuclear weapons as leverage in negotiation is bad for America and for the world, really.
Why is it bad for
Because
America?
if Iran's using nuclear bombs as leverage, that means anytime they don't get their way, we have nuclear weapon war on the fucking table. Sorry for cursing.
Why is it bad for America if Iran, for example, enriches uranium up to 60%?
Because then they could get it to 90% very easily.
Okay, and why is that bad for America?
Because then if Iran builds nuclear weapons, they could use that in leverage as leverage when they don't get their way in negotiations. You see how I'm just walking you in circles?
So
I'm just
Suleiman,
let me
Oh
walking
just
you
my
in
relay
circles
God.
like a dog.
let me
Not a
just
real
relay back
dog.
to you what
A
you're saying.
dog I
So your
respect, a human
argument is
being.
circular. So this is what you're saying. This is what you're saying, son. So what you're saying is that Iran should not be allowed to enrich uranium because they will use that as leverage against the United States of America to get them to do what they want. And then if you don't stop them at 60%, then they'll go to 90%, and then they'll leverage that to be able to use
Well, it's not
leverage
that
against the
they'll
United
go
States of
to.
America to
It's
get
not
what they
that they'll go
want.
to ninety
But the
percent. It's that
problem
we
with your
can't stop them
argument
from
is
getting to 90%.
right, I just said to you, if you interrupt me one more time, I'll drop you. So control yourself. The problem with your argument is that this isn't the only leverage point they have, nor is it their main leverage point. The main leverage point is the Strait of Hormuz. They have the Strait of Hormuz closed, and nobody's been able to open it. So they have many leverage points, and they're using those leverage
Yeah,
points.
they're using it
Every
for
country has
now. It's not going to last forever.
leverage
Nuclear
points.
bombs is a way better leverage point, okay, than cutting the Hamas.
Okay, has Israel got? But Israel's got a nuclear bomb.
Exactly, but it's too late.
Exactly. So should America invade Israel, because Israel's actually killed more Americans than Iran?
Well, I don't think it would be very good for America.
So Israel killed more Americans than Iran. If Israel has a nuclear bomb, Israel has the Samsung option, which actually says, "I'm gonna bomb New York." Iran doesn't have that. That
What
means
problems
America
has
should invade
Israel given the
Israel.
United States?
So that means America should invade Israel, correct?
No.
Why? Israel's got a
Simon,
Great
nuclear bomb.
question. Can I answer?
Wait. Why should they not invade Israel? Israel has a nuclear bomb. Israel has threatened the United States of America to use the nuclear bomb on them in New York and Washington, a part of the Samsung option. And the third thing is that Israel has murdered more Americans than Iran. Go ahead.
he's not speaking now.
Okay, cool.
Can I make a point?
Jump
Can I
in.
make a
Go ahead,
point,
Joe.
Salman?
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Look, his whole theory about this nuke, which uh, you can make that argument. I guess he disappeared, but Netanyahu has been saying that Iran is going to build a nuke for 33 years, right? So his whole theory that now we should go, right, makes zero sense, because Netanyahu, you have evidence that he's been saying this and it was a fallacy for 33 years. He first asked for it in 1993, right? And then on top of it, we have our own US intelligence, which has come out with reports several times saying that they are not building a nuke, right? What's happened now is America's action and Israeli actions has put Iran in a place where the only way to get them to stop being attacked is to actually develop a nuke, right? So this whole argument is absolutely ridiculous, because the actions actually cause Iran to build a nuke versus the opposite of them actually trying to participate with America for 33 years because of Israel, and doing things the right way, that finally they've forced them into a corner where that is their option, is to build a nuke. So this stops. Right. This whole guy's argument
What
is
happened to the Jewish
he
guy?
didn't even
Where's
know
the
what
Jewish guy?
JCPOA was. So I mean, I don't know. A bit ridiculous.
What happened to the Jewish guy, bro? Where is he at?
No idea. No idea where it's gone. Probably got decimated. He's probably gone to read a book.
Now he's going to be 11. He's going to be 11 3 9
Yo,
0
bring
9
that dog back.
1 1,
Bring him
because
back,
now
bro.
that's going to be his one more attempt at trying to be significant. So that number keeps growing.
Hilarious.
Bro, I prepared so many insults for this guy, bro. Don't do this to me, bro. All good, all good. I'll save them for the next one.
Cool.
It has to be one of the lowest level like IQ Zios I've ever heard, honestly.
You haven't
So
met
low level.
Yeah, he
JP.
was
If you
flat
met
out
JP,
retarded.
JP is the worst.
God, oh, wow.
I don't know who that is. Let's go to Andy. Andy, jump in.
Sean Strickland, he got banned from attending White House UFC 250 for criticizing Israel. It's absolutely nuts. And then he posted a meme and he said, "I'm going to go anyways." And he said, "Attending the White House was promised to me 3,000 years ago." And it's like these people are so overboard with their censorship. It's like they're just going to red pill more and more people and turn more people against Israel. And like MTG's and the
Yeah, Sean was a Zionist, right?
he might have been in the he
Sean?
might have
Well, Junior, who did you support in the Sean Strickland hazmat fight?
Oh, I don't bet, so I didn't watch
No,
that
I
game.
didn't say bet. I said what? Who were you supporting? I don't.
I was supporting my Muslim kid,
Really?
Hamza or whatever.
Is
Yeah,
it?
Kemzat
yeah.
embarrassed us,
So you
man.
supported who do you support? Who did you support, Mofet?
I honestly, I was in support of Sean because Kemzat represents the
Bro,
UAE.
fuck Sean Strickland,
Exactly,
bro. I'm
bro.
standing 10
This is
toes
the
for
problem with
Sneeko,
people
bro.
like Junior. Why would you
Bro,
support
Sean
Hazmat,
Strickland is a
who is
snake, bro.
representing the UAE? Why would you support Hazmat? Hazmat. So Strickland's problem is obviously he's insulted Muslims. The other hand, he says he did it for banter, whatever it is. But
I
Strickland,
didn't know his political stance. Now
This
I
is why
changed my mind.
Strickland was
I
against
changed
the
my mind.
Iran
I
war.
changed
He's
my mind.
spoken vocally against the Iran war. Hazma has not spoken against the Iran war because
That's crazy.
Hazma
What
is a representative of the
is
UAE.
he?
By the way, I've met
Is he
Hazma.
Muslim?
Hazma.
He doesn't act like a
He's
Muslim,
a
bro. What
Dagestani.
you
Yeah,
just
no,
told me.
I've met Hazma in many a times because he trains at my friend's gym, who kind of might be my
Yeah.
ex-friend now because of this war.
And look,
But so I met him many a times because he trains there. But the thing is, so this is the difference. So a question mark
Bro,
becomes. This is why I
isn't
found
the
it weird.
UFC a Jewish league?
Huh?
Isn't like Dana White Jewish or something?
He's definitely controlled by Zog. Yeah.
the UFC
Yeah,
is
bro.
owned
Like
by
the whole shit is
Zionists.
infested, bro. You're talking about the whole organization at this point, bro.
But you could tell though, Cam's that he didn't get the right trainers. Those trainers probably ran out of the UAE because he was looking really bad in that fight
I
too.
just look. I'll be honest, bro. I don't know these guys. I just be supporting the Muslim names, bro.
Well,
Like,
that's the problem,
you know,
innit? This is the problem where you just say, "Oh, it's a Muslim. I'm going to support him," rather than thinking,
exactly, bro.
"What?" This is the problem. You need to educate yourself, Junior, because you should be
I
thinking,
do,
"What's his
bro.
ethical framework? What's his
Bro,
belief
I
system?
won't lie.
Does he
I've been
support
scammed.
war? Does he support a country that supports the genocide of the Sudanese, as you call it, Muslims, or the Somali Muslims, or the Yemeni Muslims? Does
No, hundred
he
percent.
speak against this Iran war and basically side with the Zionists? Yes, he does, because the UAE has given him a passport. And so his flag that he represents as part of the fighting is the UAE flag.
That's crazy. Nah, look, bro. You know I'm boycotting the UAE, so I'm boycotting that boy too. Boycotting everything. Boycott the UFC too, bro. You shouldn't be watching the
I
UFC to
think
begin
that's
with.
why he took the L, man, because when you're representing a genocidal entity like that, God's not
Nah,
gonna
bro,
be on
come
your
on. That's
side.
superstition. That's superstition. That's
No,
haram,
it's the
bro. That's
truth,
haram.
man. Allah's not gonna defend you when you're representing a genocidal entity like that. That's why he got his butt
Bro,
kicked.
they might just be uneducated. They might just be missing one Suleiman space before they get educated, you know?
That's true. That's fair.
You
Sean
gotta give
Strickland
people some credit,
afterwards
bro.
took shots at APEC.
Joe
He's like, my face looks like
Was
APEC.
like different on his views. He through Suleiman, through conversations with a lot of other people, he changed his views. There's many people who changed their views after they saw the full picture. Because when you're shown 5 to 10%, it's easy to make an assumption about what you think. But then if you zoom out and you just look at the whole picture, you let it take time, it marinates, you start thinking about it, you start applying it in your everyday life. Like, oh shit, if I was in this situation, like, what would I do? Would I join Hamas? Would I be a resistance member? Would I? And when Americans and people who are not involved in the conflict are given a bit of time to just think and visualize, it can do wonders, bro. So you just got to be patient. A lot of these people, bro, they see Palestine as like it's 1,000-year conflict. I don't want to get involved. That's what majority of Muslims that I've seen that normalize with UAE, and it's
That's the
way
problem, though,
bigger
right
than
there,
just their
though.
alliance with UAE. It's way bigger
That's
than that.
that's
It's
the
their entire
problem.
flawed mindset, like the way they think.
Being a fence sitter is just as bad as you being on the opposing side, by
On
the way.
God, man. Like, here's the thing,
I
Junior. Like,
agree. I
people
agree.
like that is
That
the
is
problem,
true.
man. Like, think about if the Gulf states, if they actually had boycotted these genocidal entities, there wouldn't had to be these missiles flying around, So that's the problem. I wonder though. I wonder. Sometimes I want to give the benefit of the doubt, like you do, Junior. But then sometimes it's
Look,
like, man, 3 years
I'm just
into a
saying, bro.
genocide, like, come on.
You want the order to break. I'm all for that, bro. I'm ready for that. I'm actually prepared for everything to break down and reset. I'm ready for that, but I don't think it's gonna happen anytime soon, based on like the everyday actions that are being taken, bro. Like the most we can do is open a space and talk about it and try to vote people in, like Dan Bilzerian, into Congress. Like everyone should be doing that on August, bro. That's the most important thing that we should all be focusing on right now. Like everything sweet
Facts.
talk, we practice debating Zionists, insulting them, having fun. We're coming together. Everyone's alive. Everyone's blessed. I pray for all of you guys. That's great, but every day, like there needs more to happen. Like if we get Dan Bilzerian in Congress, someone who wants to declare war on Israel, I think we could shift the game, bro. And just a quick reminder, like if you guys are not following him, go support him, Suleiman. I know you're all in for his campaign, right? Like this is the fucking hottest thing in America right now, bro. Dan Bilzerian running for Congress in Florida.
Yeah, so just to answer your point on that, yeah, Dan's a good friend of mine. I've been to his house quite a few times. A great person. So yeah, of course I supported him. I support his fight, and it's a lesson for all of us, Junior, including you, that a lot of the Zionists, what they want is they want people to cause friction amongst the goy, and I know it's easy virality sometimes to try and do that, to try and attack other religions or other
Oh yeah,
people.
everyone loves the drama, bro. Everyone loves the drama.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's fine doing drama against Zayo. That's awesome. But when it's against goys on goy, that is problematic. So we need to make sure we're not part of the Zionist agenda and that we're fighting against it. There's easier ways to. Well, I guess that is the easiest way to go viral. But what is that virality if you're causing destruction for society and the community? You're basically like an OnlyFans whore, but on social media. So
Especially because a
anyway,
lot of these clicks, people think they're getting viral, and it's done with 1,000 followers, and they're not even monetized. And it's like, cool, you get 1 million clicks, and you're helping the Zionists, and you're not even getting paid. And even if you're getting paid to help, and you're creating division, which helps Zionists, and it creates genocide. Like, you're not feeding your family, you're not doing anything. Like, oh, cool, you get your $20 Elon check, and what's that going to do? That's not changing your life. Very few people are making a living on this app. Like, I'm not making a living on this app. I've freaking barely, I don't even remember the last time I've gotten paid. I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this
it's
to get.
impossible. It's impossible to make a living on this app unless you're a Zayo. Now, if you're a Zayo, you do make a living off this app. There's no doubt about it. Um, so,
Sule,
for
sorry,
example,
if I
I
could just.
was I'm speaking.
Oh, sorry,
So
sorry.
yeah, so for example, over this, for example, I've spoken to many Zayos, left wing and right wing, more so the left wing actually, but both. Actually, both. Actually, they get paid hundreds. So people with my following on X get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars based on sponsorships and various other things. If you hold the Zayo position, so it is very lucrative to be on this app if you're a Zayo, no doubt. In terms of Twitter pay, then obviously, as you know, I've been demonetized on Twitter for 2-3 years, and yet we've not missed a day of spaces. We've done spaces every single day highlighting what the Zionist regime is doing, what the plight of the resistance is, and various other things. So the problem with this app is that the only reason to do it isn't because of money. It's solely in order to educate people, inform people, and teach people about what's going on. As you saw on YouTube, YouTube is a much more lucrative app than, for example, X. But the reason why we don't stop these spaces is because of these 3 hours. It could be easily we just do interviews through these, but the reason I don't stop these spaces is because they're too important to impact the zeitgeist. Go ahead, IB, what were you going to say? IB, were you going to say
Sorry,
something?
sorry. Yeah, I just sent it to you in a chat. I just wanted to say there's some good news in New Jersey. There were primaries obviously yesterday, and we had a great candidate here that I've been working with for so long, and we have a lot of Zionists obviously in this area, and he won. It's Dr. Hamawi, who's incredible. He was one of the surgeons who went to Gaza, and
Aren't they saying about him that he's like some kind of ISIS person or something?
oh my
I've
God.
not looked into his background, but what's the basis of the claim?
I mean, I don't know anything about ISIS. He's not ISIS. He's pro-Palestinian, and he's really awesome. I mean, that's what I
Well, many
think.
supporters of ISIS are also pro-Palestinian, so but I'm
Are
talking.
they?
Yeah, yeah, actually they are. There are many people who supported ISIS also are pro-Palestinian. Yeah, more a lot of
Yeah,
Sunni Muslims supported the ISIS. Yeah.
that's true. There's overlap. That's true. There's overlap. Some of them are pro-Palestinian, and some of them aren't. I don't think that he has ties to ISIS. I think that that's just a Zionist talking point, honestly, to try to besmirch him because he beat them. It was a really, really tough race. So really exciting. I mean, yeah. So I'm really excited for
Cool.
that. So
I've not looked into him, so that's why I wasn't asking the question with me knowing the answer. I was
no, I
genuinely
know.
asking
No, I know,
because
Sule.
I don't know. I just saw a tweet about it and I was like, okay, but I don't know if it's true or not. It's probably not true, but who knows?
Yeah, it's one of the first. It's one of the biggest, most important like victories for progressive in a primary across the country. Yeah, really, really tough to have this happen because New
Uh,
Jersey is Zio like heaven.
Okay, interesting. Joe, you got some friends there, yeah, bro?
Because of progressive. She's from Jersey. I didn't know she was a Jersey chick.
Bro, that's why she's so flipping off it, bro.
What?
Shout out to the Jersey Shore.
Oh my god, what is wrong with you,
No,
Mofet?
she doesn't sound like a Jersey Shore chick though.
I meant the
Yeah,
actual.
definitely not. Sort your life out, bro. Let's go to Gigi, but I'm guessing Gigi probably said something that is unrelated. Go ahead, Gigi. Gigi? Threw her off there because I said that. I think that was the plan. So let's go to someone got dropped there. Let's go to
You are correct. Yeah, you are correct. Can you hear me?
yeah.
No, can you hear me?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we
Wait,
can
wait,
hear
wait.
you, but I don't think you can hear Sully.
I think she's just doing it. I'm not going to bring her up again. Let me just remove her in
Yeah.
the space. I'm just not because she does it every time she derails the space. I just bang out about her. Okay. Let's go to wait. Why are you doing your thumbs down?
LDNN. Why the thumbs down?
Bro, what is up with all these usernames, bro? They're all like random letters and numbers and
Yeah,
shit.
the
Like,
guys.
they're
It's a good
definitely
point.
Mossad trolling you, bro. Like, I would bet money on that. I would literally bet real money that Mossad is listening to this shit right now. And if Mossad agents are listening to this, I hope you guys.
I put the thumbs down because she pretended not to hear you, bro. I supported. I
Oh,
agreed with
okay.
you.
Oh,
That's why.
appreciate it, brother.
All
Appreciate it,
right,
brother.
you're not a
Okay,
Mossad agent.
let's
My
go
bad.
to Manco. Manco, jump in. Give us your thoughts. You were telling us
Is there
before the
any?
space. You were telling us before we did the interview about how you were disappointed with Trump.
Well, yeah, I made the point that if you show weakness, then your enemies are going to be bolder. And Trump has been doing nothing but showing weakness for the past month. He's constantly communicated that he's not willing to escalate no matter what. He's desperate to get a deal. Even if Iran isn't also desperate to get a deal, he's willing to be the only one that's desperate. So Iran was able to take advantage of that and escalate. Usually in the past, if you rewind, Iran was very measured in how it did its responses. It did not generally try to escalate and do more back than was done to it. But I think there's a significant change here that they attacked Kuwaiti airport. And I think it sends a message to Kuwait and to the other GCC countries that Iran can beat you up and Trump will do nothing to help you. And this is going to escalate further because every time, you know, the blockade where the United States occasionally will take out a ship or disable it or something like that, if that's now going to cause Iran to launch missiles at Kuwait or Bahrain or Qatar or something like that, and then Trump's just going to not do anything about it, then those countries are going to say, well, you don't really care about us then. You only care about Israel.
Yeah, he only does care about Israel. People need to wake up. I'm glad, Manko, you're waking up about that too, man. Is it true the House is voting against this war now?
Well, I haven't heard anything about that, but there's nothing they can do about it anyways. I mean, we have a long history of Congress believing that they ought to have a say when it comes to wars, and they never have been able to be successful in that.
What do you think about Donald now, though, man? Like, is he gonna keep like cowering to Israel's
Donald is
demands, or?
dying, bro. Like, I'm sorry to cut you off, G, but Donald Trump is dying right now, bro. You look at his neck, you look at his hand, you look at his daughter. She's married to a Jew, bro. He's finished, bro. That dude is finished. He just wants to play a couple more rounds of golf and just go to sleep. That's all he wants to do, bro. That dude's like 85 or something, bro. Like, you gotta be realistic. Hopefully the next president though is not hopefully it's not Marco Rubio or whatever the fuck that guy's name is.
Cool. Okay. You need to stop swearing, Junior. And
I
you just
apologize. I
derailed it.
apologize
You
for
just
swearing.
derailed and you just derailed the conversation from what it was about. Is
No,
important.
I'm just saying that Donald Trump is literally dying, dude. Like, this is a fact.
Okay. Interest. Awesome. So on the coming back to the what we were talking about. What do we think, Manko? What do you think about the? So, if Trump, do you think Trump? Why do you think Trump is desperate for a deal? Do you think it's like genuinely speaking? Why do you think he's desperate for a deal? Do you think it's because he thinks there's no way out? He thinks the connect what? Like logically speaking, why would this guy not want to? Why would this guy be desperate for a deal and not wanting to respond to Iran?
It's definitely not for the reason of Trump is afraid as far as the power relationship. The United States and Israel, but even if it was the United States alone, has a lot more capacity to inflict a lot more damage on Iran than Iran has capacity to inflict damage on anyone. But Iran is only able to, and therefore does, attack just the countries close to it, like Kuwait. So I think there's two reasons. Reason number one is this is something that's been discussed before. I think Trump is engaged in business dealings with people in the GCC countries. And even though the political interests, the political leadership of these countries do want to see Iran get bombed because they want revenge, and they don't care if they, get some of their infrastructure destroyed necessarily, the commercial interests in those countries very much do not want to have their businesses, their infrastructure, all that attacked because they're going to stand to lose a lot of money, and these people can have influence on Trump monetarily. That's one reason. Another reason is I think it comes down to this ties in to Trump being old and this being his last term as president. He cares about his legacy. He cares about how he's remembered, and he's sort of obsessed with being remembered as a peacemaker and as someone who solved problems. And even if the path to victory is through bombing Iran to the point where Iran surrenders, even if he won that way, he would be seen as sort of Trump the bloody, like Trump the one who did all the bombing. And I think he doesn't want that on his legacy, which unfortunately, it's not up to him. I mean, ultimately, Iran is the one who gets to decide when the war ends. And if Iran doesn't want Trump to be able to have a clean legacy, then Iran is going to tell Trump, what's that worth to you? And guess what? Iran's going to drive a hard bargain, and Trump's not going to be able to make a deal on those kind of terms because Trump isn't a dictator. He doesn't just get to do what he wants. He has to please all these different factions. And if he does a deal that makes various people unhappy, both domestically here in the United States, in Israel, and some of these other countries, then there's going to be a big backlash to it, and he doesn't want that either.
So to be clear, your two reasons are one is Trump's personal dealings with the Gulf state, and the second one is that he doesn't want to destroy Iran too badly.
That he cares about his reputation and his legacy. He cares about it a little bit too much. And this is ties into what he was saying. Like, I'm sure he sat down and people at the Pentagon were telling him, like, we could destroy all these things in Iran, but it's going to cause all of this long-term damage to Iran, which I'm sure Israel very much wants. And that's what triggered Trump to say, oh my God, we're going to destroy an entire civilization. And I think he really doesn't want to do that. I think it's weird. Trump really wants everyone to love him. And I think in his head, he thinks that if he figures this out his way, that he can someday get like the people of Iran to love him and thank him for what he did.
That's funny. So just on your first point, because and let's deal with both points. So the first point is that he wants to do this because he wants Iran to because of his own personal business dealings in the Middle East. And so, why would his business dealings in the Middle East be harmed? Well, the answer is simple because Iran will decimate the Middle East. They will decimate those Gulf states. So, you're essentially agreeing, although that in reality, you can hit Iran. There's no doubt about it. They can hit Iran. But then the response is Iran can hit everyone else. And if Iran hits everyone else, they're going to be in a major problem. And part of that problem is maybe Trump doesn't care about those countries, which I don't think he does. I think he cares about Israel, but not those countries. He's not able to accept a deal because of that. So bringing that into consideration, so the first point explains why he's not doing the first thing. The second thing is about his legacy. The issue you've got with your argument is that you're saying that he doesn't want to bomb Iran because he cares about his legacy. But his legacy, as you know, has been decimated quite a lot recently anyway, because of the Epstein files, because of this war in Iran. He knows that even if, whatever the case may be, his base was against war, largely speaking, especially the Republican Party. So he has impacted his reputation there. If he was to concede to a deal, which he was about to, which is so pro um which is so pro for Iran, like it's total Iranian victory, you don't think that's going to impact his legacy, or do you think people will forget? Like, you don't think people will keep reminding him on that? Like, oh, you're
Well,
the one who
no,
made this deal with Iran that was better, that was even worse than Obama's deal.
yeah, he can't do. That's what I'm saying. He can't do that because the moment he even hints that he's going to do that, he will get so much backlash from his own base and from all sorts of interest groups that he's beholden to, that they will smack him so hard, there's no way he can do it.
But wasn't he about to do that?
Well, maybe even if, let's say he was, then obviously he got smacked down, so he couldn't go through with it.
Exactly. He got smacked down by the Israeli lobby. And that's the whole point. So this is what the issue that you've got is. The reason Trump is snookered, and I think you agree that he's snookered, even though you may not disagree, you may disagree with the nuance, is that Trump is snookered. You just think about what we're seeing right now. And this is Manco's, who I do think he's one of the smarter MAGA people, one of the biggest, like, smarter Trump supporters. Even he's saying that Trump is essentially being outplayed. He's being outplayed by Iran, he's being outsmarted, and Trump is stuck. And so that's why we have a scenario where Iran can fire a at Kuwait, can fire at Bahrain, can fire at UAE, which they did, and none of those three countries can do anything. None of those three countries can do anything. They don't have the ability themselves to do anything because they are very, you know, my view on these Gulf countries. But also, they don't have the ability because, you know, the US is not going to protect them. So this is major. This is why we're seeing the fall of the US empire. This is the example of it. If you talk about the legacy, Trump's destroyed his legacy more so by not protecting, by basically going to this war and then demonstrating that he's unable to protect the Gulf states.
Yeah, and this is huge for geopolitics. For example, historically, there was a big sort of rift that started in the 1970s between the USSR and China. And the Vietnam War, originally, China was the main benefactor and patron of Vietnam. And then Vietnam flipped the bird to China and said, no, we like the Russians better. We're going to go with the Russians. You guys can go pound sand. So Vietnam became a close ally with Russia and turned against China. Then China's proxy, Cambodia, started fighting with Vietnam, and China decided it was going to teach Vietnam a lesson. Russia said, no, you can't do that. They're our ally. China said, you ain't going to do SHIT, bruv, and attacked Vietnam. And of course, the USSR didn't do anything. And this caused a massive loss of face and confidence in alliances for the USSR geopolitically. This is like a major geopolitical event of the late 1970s. That is exactly what Trump is allowing to have happen now. And Iran is purposely putting him in that position, and he's falling right into the trap.
Yeah, Trump's in trouble. Trump is in trouble. Let's go to World. Go ahead, jump in, World.
Hi, thanks for having me on, Suleiman. I'm a writer at a small IR focused publication called World Sciences. I just wanted to jump in the conversation here and talk about the recent decision that the House made to pass the War Powers Resolution. I know that was mentioned a little bit earlier. I think this is just more evidence that Trump is in real trouble here because this will signal to Iran and reinforce the message that there's basically no political will at all in the US for this war. I mean, that's already been demonstrated in the polling, but now you have multiple Republicans in the House voting against Trump, which is a pretty stunning rebuke from the Republican Party against Trump here. And I think the implications of that are pretty interesting. I think it probably means that Iran is going to make even stronger demands at the negotiating table. And there's also good reason to believe that they might escalate on the battlefield a little bit more to put even more pressure on DC and extract concessions. And I wanted to hear what everyone else thought about.
Was that vote today?
Yes, it was announced today.
And what was the result of the vote?
Well, the
Like, what
result was that, the War Powers resolution was passed by the House. It's gone to the Senate. I think there was about 4 Republicans that voted against Trump here.
Oh no, sorry. I meant in the sense of what would. Oh, four. That's what I was asking. So what was the voting? I meant.
Oh yeah, basically they passed a resolution to limit Trump's war powers in Iran here. So that's just Congress trying to end the war.
It's
Yeah, yeah. No, sorry. I know that. I'm trying to say like, how did the votes go? So you're saying 4 Republicans voted with the
Hmm.
Democrats. So what was
Yes,
it like? 50
exactly.
votes.
They exactly.
So
Sorry about
50,
that.
what was the
They
voting
voted
result?
with the.
What was the final voting result like? What number to what number? 200 and something to what?
Uh, Let me see. I think it was
215 to
215.
208.
Yeah.
It was
What was that?
close. It was close. 215 to 208.
And the
it,
thing is, it
215.
probably won't even pass the
yeah,
Senate,
it's
even if
got to
it
go
does.
to
Trump can.
the Senate. Yeah, it's got to go
Yeah,
to the Senate.
it's not going to pass the Senate. Probably won't. And even if it does, Trump can veto it. But either ways, that, in my opinion, that doesn't matter all that much in terms of what I'm talking about, which is that it's going to signal to Tehran that political will isn't there to continue this war. And ultimately this has become a war of attrition, who can last longer. And I think this just emboldens and increases Iran's confidence that we're going to be able to last much longer in the US because the war by the day is becoming more politically untenable. And we have to remember, this was the least popular war in American history at its inception. Just from the get go, this was a totally unpopular war, which means that the US just isn't going to be able to last longer than Iran.
Yeah, and it's also pretty significant, like you brought out. I think you said 4 Republicans, because that's making a pretty loud shout. I don't get really involved in politics, but that's pretty loud. If I look at that, looks. I think that's a good point you make.
I think it's not just that, it's that really everyone in the West is sick of this genocidal government that just wants to go to war with everyone. We're gonna see more political pressure. I think that's why we saw genocider Trump come out with that fake news that like, oh, Satan Yahoo, like, why are you embarrassing us? Everyone hates Israel now. Like this is why they're bringing that up to kind of set the tone, kind of make it seem like, you know what, we agree with the people now after the damage has already been done, after they've already robbed us blindly. And I think like what the last speaker said, they haven't fixed anything yet either, and they're talking this way. So it's just another way to slow people down, make it think, oh, the government's not finally siding with us, to calm us down before potentially the next storm, which is more attacks, against civilian infrastructures in the Middle East.
Can someone? Great point, Marv. I agree, sir. Can someone talk about this House that's coming in, the House resolution or the bill they're getting ready to vote on? And we're talking about the NDAA Section 224. I think, honestly, that's going to pass. I think that will happen. Someone wants to add on that. They know any latest on that?
Mike Rogers on the Armed Services Committee, which is talking about that. He made a post yesterday completely lying about that and got ratio in the comments. He said this strengthens American sovereignty and all of this. All this does is share technology, and Americans will get access to great technology. in all of this. So he's completely lying and gaslighting. APEC made a post about it and got like 300 something likes and 800 replies. So every time they test the waters trying to push support for this, they get completely ratioed. But as you know, they don't care about the will of the American people. But something like this, it takes 60 votes in the Senate to pass. You know, Rand Paul will be a no vote, so that gets you down to 52 if every Republican supports it. Fetterman will be a yes, so that gets you back to 53, assuming all the other Republicans support it. So which Democrats are going to swallow the poison pill? Obviously, we know they're controlled, but let's say this does happen. I mean, at that point, it's kind of like too late for America. It's not something you can undo. So, and they're having, I think, a hearing, I believe, on it tomorrow, but that's something that I don't think you can just rush for a vote quickly because there is going to be a debate. And so it's going to be interesting to see if they just try to jam it through. And I feel like this is interesting. Like, why didn't they go for this last year in 2025? What before support for Israel collapsed further post Epstein, post this war? Like like in a midterm year, more people pay attention and there's more pushback. Like I'm honestly shocked they didn't just
It's
jam this
because
through
it's
in
because
20.
the point of this is to stealth subsidize Israel. So previously, Israel was just having the U.S. tax directly fork over billions of dollars every year. Now they're saying, and Netanyahu's like, oh, we don't need your money anymore. But what this is doing, and the whole point of this, is to take those subsidies and instead of making them explicit and out in the open, it's making them implicit and it's hiding them like behind other things. So the whole point of this is number one, I read the law. Number one, it's to increase America's purchases of Israeli weapons and like military related equipment and all that.
Yeah,
So that's
I don't
one
want.
way America
What
would
the heck would you
subsidize it.
possibly need Israeli weapons for? They can't get the job done in
We're
Bahrain.
already doing it. Like we're buying Iron Dome and stuff from them, which we paid for them to build. So we paid for them to develop Iron Dome, and then instead of us even having the rights to it, we now have to pay them to build the Iron Dome with licenses and stuff here. It's ridiculous. But that's one. Number two is they're doing like joint research and stuff, which really means that like America's doing 90% of the research and Israel's going to do like 10%, and then Israel's going to get 50% of the benefits. So that's another way of subsidizing Israel. And then there was one other way, which was, oh yeah, I think there was that they were going to have, so a big part of military superiority is learning how to fight. You have to develop the best weapons, but then you also know how to use them, and that's called doctrine. And there's also going to be essentially doctrinal transfers, which, and by the way, like China's spending massive amounts of money trying to steal these secrets from the United States. And this is a legal framework for the United States to just keep giving that very valuable military information to Israel for free pretty much forever.
Well, as we've learned from
And
war,
then they'll give it to
as
China.
we've learned from
Sorry.
war, all you need is a good missile and
Well, they'll
drone
sell it
program
to
to fight
China.
off the U.S. You just need a good missile and drone program, as we've seen from Iran. And going back to the political front last night, Zach Land won in Iowa, a Republican governor primary. He hasn't taken any APAC money against the Trump-backed candidate in the state against the sitting representative. Zach Land entered the race as an unknown. So the fact that he won running against data centers. He hasn't explicitly talked about the war, but the fact that he ran with no APAC money running against data centers against a Trump-backed candidate in Iowa running against the agricultural lobby, I think is a pretty big deal, meaning Trump finally lost a major primary race. So Trump's support is clearly cracking. So that the farmers have completely abandoned Trump in Iowa, which is America's heartland. So that does not bode well for Trump in the midterms at all. Because Iowa swings the most out of any state because Obama won it by like 6 in 2012, and then Trump won it by like 9 in 2016, which is a 15-point swing. So the fact that that was the state where Trump finally lost the primary means the farmers have abandoned him.
I just wanted to add another thing on this topic before we move on from it of the NDAA. I mean, I think this isn't the first time we've had obviously policies like this, and I think one thing that really illustrates the pretty incredible level of support the US provides Israel is the qualitative military edge, which a lot of people don't talk about for some reason, but it's literally a legal commitment that the US has to make sure that Israel is stronger than all of its neighbors. Legal commitment that Israel is stronger than all of its neighbors. So they get preferential access to all of the US's most advanced military systems. Gulf states have to get, similar systems, but have restrictions that are essentially worse quality. Israel has formal consultation rights and arms sale review. I mean, it's just completely incredible, and you don't see that happening for any other country.
Ethan Levin just made a post. He copied a Jerusalem Post article. Apple announces the iPhone 17e with a chip developed in Israel. Yeah, I'm gonna trust an iPhone that Israel probably put a chip in that can blow up like their pagers or possibly Charlie Kirk's microphone. Yeah, I don't want an Israeli exploding iPhone. So do not buy the iPhone 17e with a chip made in Israel because they will probably explode on you if you speak out against them.
I could tell people aren't buying that iPhone 17 because of that reason. And, Apple and the mainstream, they're kind of ignoring it. But I could tell because they keep sending these deals and these promotions, to move up to that phone. That phone's possibly for real chipped up with, the true Samsung option that Israel talks about.
Hey, Andy, just a question. The four people that the four Republicans that voted against this bill or voted for this bill to stop Trump. Warren Davidson, not known for APAC getting APAC money, but then we have Brian Fitzgerald in Pennsylvania and Tom Barrett. They're both APAC backed.
I think
I'm quite
Fitzgerald.
surprised.
I think Fitzgerald might be a swing race, and he's trying to save his seat. I think that's maybe it. In Pennsylvania, I know there's a lot of swing districts in that state, so we think he's trying to save his seat more than anything. Now, I don't think he disagrees with APAC, but he's like, I want to save my seat and not lose re-election. So I think it's political self-preservation more than anything. Because I couldn't imagine. I don't think he had some change of conscience after being on Apex money so long. That's my take on that. I don't think.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I think that a lot of people um, who oppose, the war in Iran are not, including on the left or right, are not necessarily opposing it because they're not on APAC's, Rolodex or on their, getting paid.
I,
It's because
I,
it's on. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I just find it strange
Yeah,
because Brian Fitzpatrick, right? Like
yeah,
how they don't conflate things. Like they
yeah.
try to conflate. Like anti-Semitism is anti-Zionism, which isn't true, but
hmm
that's what they
They
try to
do that.
do,
Yeah.
right? But Brian Fitzpatrick is on the task force combating anti-Semitism,
Oh God.
and he
Yeah.
voted against this, like Trump having power in this war. It's just a very weird mix, and don't know what's going on there, and that's what I'm trying
Yeah.
to figure out.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think a lot of like even Hawley, Senator Psycho Hawley, no offense, Mango. But yeah, he was very critical of it's basically Congress flexing, right? It's like this is Congress's power. We have the authority, and it's not right for the president to just say, "Oh, I'm just going to go to war without asking Congress." It's more like Congress flexing its constitutional authority, not to get nerdy and wonky, but this is more about like a war powers are within, Article 1 of the Constitution. So you have to ask us first. And we've given you lots of time and you still haven't asked us. So you have to ask us, pretty please. Okay, Mr. President. A. And B, the base is very anti war. Even if they don't care about Israel, even if they're not as sophisticated or as pro or anti Israel per se, they just don't want to be at war, period. They're like, why are we there? They might not have like a nuanced understanding of Israel and us going to war on behalf of Israel and all that stuff. They just know that we're over there and we're doing stuff and we shouldn't be, period. So I think those are the two main reasons why people who are otherwise like who are otherwise pro-Zionist might be pushing back and wanting something on war powers.
And at least in the Fitzpatrick case, I believe that he was actually the only other Republican to introduce a war powers resolution in this war. I think he did that in April.
Yeah.
Hey Ray, I haven't seen you in a long time. What's happening?
Hey Joe, same here. I was just thinking that it's good to see you, buddy. Andrew, Mankos, Sally, it's good to see you, and thanks for the spaces and the opportunity for the mic. Before I start, I have a couple of things. I'll try to be quick, but one thing also that's important, other than the NDAA, there was a resolution that was tried in 2024, and they're trying it again. They tried it again last month, I think, in 2026, and it's House Resolution 8445. Sponsored by two guys. I'm not going to bother with the name, but basically would amend existing legislation so that Americans who enlist in the IDF are treated, quote unquote, in the same manner as service in the uniformed services, unquote, of the United States. And estimated 20,000 American citizens who are now or have already been serving in the Israeli military are expected to benefit if the changes come into effect, considerably and uniquely narrowing the gap between Israel and the US more. I thought that's that's it's fascinating how much they're, because they read the whatever you call it, tea leaves, like they see the signs on the walls or whatever it is, that the public opinion is not favorable at all of Israel, and Americans are pushing back, and because of the economic situation and the debt, they're like, why are you giving these people money? So now I think they're trying to embed themselves, like make that marriage on paper where no one can wiggle you out of Israel or wiggle Israel out of you. That's one thing. The other is regarding Lebanon. Two quick things, because I saw Sally's post. So I think so. Israel is in a dilemma. I'd say Netanyahu is in a dilemma, especially with relation to his internal politics, where a lot of Israelis are asking, like, why did you take us into this war on Lebanon? And it is pretty clear that the objective is not going to be met. You cannot disarm Hezbollah, and you're not able to protect, the northern villages or settlements. So why are we doing this? And there is a pushback. Plus, they're suffering a lot of casualties. I mean, the number today I got is from the start, I think 2nd of May until today, 145 uh, tanks destroyed, and that's a big number.
Did,
So
didn't they
they're
hit
getting yeah.
Ryan?
Go ahead.
Didn't they hit a maternity hospital today?
In Lebanon,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's
No, they're
absolutely
hitting
insane to me.
everything, man. They're hunting down civic defense services, and these have nothing to do with Hezbollah, just like the Red Cross in Lebanon. Uh, they're hitting them. They're targeting them. There's like they want to end them all. It
Yeah,
feels like it's crazy, the numbers.
someone I saw someone call it a meticide, and
Yeah,
I keep looking at that term and looking like they really like who do they think are hiding in the maternity ward? And this is what they
right.
do. They take out all life support for children. I mean, they
It's
did
look,
this with the incubators in Gaza too.
yeah. You know what it is, Joa. It is psychological warfare, in terms, meaning we cannot hit your resistance fighters because they're mainly underground and unreachable. We're gonna dish out pain to your people. We're gonna pain them so much that you're gonna have pity and surrender for the sake of your own people. This is the MO, and that is why they hit hospitals. That is why they hit, churches. Is a different story because they have a hatred for Christians. But that's why. So they punish the civilians because they cannot retaliate against the fighters. And it is crazy, man. It's been like 3 years now. Not one video of an Israeli fighter shooting at another fighter, right? One would think if this was like a proper war, we would get videos of them, shooting at us and us shooting at them. Nothing. They hide in their tanks when they're on the field, and otherwise they come from the sky and then they drop shit on you. And that is, the result is civilian infrastructure. But the tricky part now about Netanyahu wanting, to gain from the situation with Lebanon, and this is how they gain. What they do is under the theme of peace negotiations. What they basically do, and this is what they're trying to do with the Lebanese government, it's practically on the ground. If you boil it to everything, what they get is they subcontract the security of Israel to the Lebanese government under a peace agreement. Meaning, when they sign a peace agreement, within the agreement, the Lebanese military and the Lebanese government must declare Hezbollah illegal, and must catch and stop and persecute and whatever it is by the law anyone who tries to organized against Israel, because now there is a peace agreement. It's the same thing in Egypt. If you try to protest against Israel, they'll tell you you're disturbing the peace. No, you need to shut up. So the government bullies the people in order the people to not resist, and that is what they're trying to reach. And they're hurrying up very quickly. Why? Because Iran is also pushing the part where it's telling the United States, look, guys, part of the agreement is the cessation of hostilities and the withdrawal from Lebanon. And the Lebanese government, and including the Zionist lobby in Washington, they don't want to give that win to Iran, because it will give a lot of political and PR gain to Hezbollah, and they don't want that. It's like, yeah, our ally Iran, which you guys diss all the time, got us a ceasefire. So now they're hurrying up, trying to meet. I think they met today, or they're meeting today with the Lebanese ambassador to try to get the deal through the government, right? And this is dynamic that's happening. Other than that, I just wanted to get your thoughts on this vote that just happened regarding the war and on Congress. Do you think Congress will be able to restrain Trump if he gets, if he decides to go back to war? Does that make an impact or not really?
Right. I'm probably not the like I would go to IB. Like I don't follow the political games like that closely. To know. I feel like just gut feeling this feels more symbolic than anything else. But IB, if you could answer, because I think you follow that
Yeah.
more closely.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's more symbolic than anything. It's just a lot of window dressing. Unfortunately, uh, it's just all I see is just an escalation and deepening of everything that's been happening for the last, you know, decades and decades. With respect to at least Israel. Um, with respect to Hezbollah, I completely agree with you, brother. I think that it's all psychological. They're trying to break them, break their morale by doing horrifying things like hitting, maternity wards and trying to blow up civilian targets. But they will never win. They won't, because we know Hezbollah. We know who they are. We know what they're just like the Viet Cong. I was talking to Andrew about this the other day. You know, just you can't. There's just certain organizations and people who are built a certain way, and they will never ever resist, or stop resisting, uh, ever, no matter what. And that's Hezbollah. So, and we know the threshold for pain is much lower for Israelis than it is for Hezbollah. So I'll say that. But otherwise, yeah, I'll just leave there.
Yeah, thanks. I'll just land with this, and thanks for the mic again. Yeah, this has been their understanding from the early days, because it goes back to the Jabotinsky understanding of, if you want to survive, you need to kill, and kill some more. And they felt that this is how they could teach us to not resist by breaking our spirit and our morale by so much death and destruction. But I mean, look at the trend, 78 years, and we're still doing what we need to do. So it doesn't work, but these guys are not known for their wisdom. Anyway, thanks.
I just quickly wanted to hop off of Ivy's point about the Viet Cong, because I think it's a good one. Not only is like the punishment campaign, the civilian punishment strategy, morally reprehensible, but it's also completely unstrategic. It's actually the opposite of strategic because Robert Pape, who's been really active. Unbearable for Trump. The political cost is going to become unbearable, especially as midterms are approaching. I mean, he's kind of he's caught between a rock and a hard place here because uh, any deal that he's going to have to agree to is essentially going to be total surrender. It's going to leave us in a position that's significantly worse than the status quo ante before the war started. But at the same time, what other choice does he really have? So I think you're absolutely. I think that there will be some sort of deal. I think the real question is whether America will be able to stick with that deal. I mean, we have to remember the U.S. and Israeli tag team struck Iran during ongoing negotiations when additional talks were scheduled twice. Because who knows if they're just going to turn around and strike me again once they've recuperated and there's some level of political will to do that. And I think the second question here is when can the US foreign policy apparatus get to a point where they stop treating Iran like this totally irrational pariah state? Because when you do that, you put yourself in a position where there is no other choice but war. I mean, you listen to the way that US policymakers speak, they talk about Iran like, oh, they're this eschatological, totally irrational state that we can never deal with them. They're a terrorist state. They're the state sponsor of terror. If that is your ontological thinking about a country, then you can never approach the negotiating table in goodwill. That means that war is inevitable. So until that changes in the U.S. foreign policy apparatus, any deal is just an excuse for the U.S.-Israeli alliance to wait until a better moment to strike.
I have to say, it's such a breath of fresh air to hear you speak, man, because we had some guy like, I don't know, an hour ago, 25634, who just didn't understand.
Okay, let's go to Alex. Alex, jump in. Alex, you up on the mic? I don't know what's going on here, bro. This best is massive glitching. Rob.
Hey, Suleiman. Big fan of the space. I just want to say, for sure, they're going to war, especially in June. I mean, the Jews, they love number six. Last 12-day war was in June. They planned all this, so there's not going to be any negotiations or deals. I wouldn't even be surprised if they try to do a third term for Trump. Fuck it, right?
What you think it's going to be like 6th of June, like 6/6 to 2026?
I mean, the things that are happening is so crazy. For me, I think it's all biblical, and I don't know. It's all planned out. So we'll wait and see. Gonna watch the finals today. Spurs and Knicks.
I don't need to know that, brother. Okay, thanks for your great insight. Guys, on the YouTube, can you let me know if it's working, if the sound's working? Muted said, I don't know if you know, Sully, it's a glitch on X when using browser. The sound cut off at some point. The way to overcome is to minimize the chat widget, but I guess you want to show it on YouTube.
Suleiman, have you seen all the videos of the drones in Iran? I mean, with Hezbollah,
What do you mean?
like all the Hezbollah drones hitting the idea.
Yeah, there's many. Happens every day. Is there any
Yeah.
specific one you're talking about?
Nah, I'm just saying they're pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. Okay. Hussein, let's bring you in. Do you think it's quite cool?
Yeah, I think it's really cool. What a great assessment right there. It's really,
Do you
really
want to
I
do
cool.
you want to add
love I
some
love Hezbollah and Iran,
do
bro.
you want to add some breadth and depth to it?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, I mean, and if you guys, I'm sure the guy who said it was cool also would think it's cool that they have night vision now on their drones. I think that's awesome. So there's no place to hide, no place to sleep for these diaper forces, and yeah, they made a whole huge PR stunt on. Oh, we took the castle, the historic castle. That's only 3 kilometers from the border, by the way, on the eastern side. And they made a whole PR stunt on it. The resistance ran reconnaissance at night. They didn't find a single soldier. And then when they did find the soldiers later on that night, they dove the drone right up their keisters and took out 3 of them in one shot. So these these guys just come in for these PR stunts, and then they want to kind of claim like a morale boosting victory, and it just doesn't work every single time. And it's really stupid. They took like they took this castle, quote unquote, at this high point, and they just didn't think they were going to be sitting ducks. I mean, within hours, the resistance already started firing these drones at them. So yeah, I mean, every single day. So like you said, they're getting drone struck, and the only response they have is that they want to bomb Beirut because they want to go after innocents because their soldiers are getting decimated in the south, and so they want to try like demoralize the Lebanese civilians into trying to force the resistance to stop. But that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go to Andrew. Andrew, what was it? What was your thoughts about this whole section 224?
Yes, sir. I wrote up an actual, took my notes from what I'd written up before earlier about a year ago, and then I updated it and researched a couple points. And it is a very deep, dark, concerning thing that's happening to the United States of America. I worked at the Pentagon, worked at the Naval Sea Systems Command, working fit up 5-year defense budgets. Well, also background, I was with Operational Staff Submarine Force Commander on his staff. I have multiple years at sea experience. When we put these defense, the defense authorization plan, that's what is the machinery that builds the 5-year defense plan. And what folks don't understand is the actual nuts and bolts come down to the OM&N, that's the operation maintenance. And I'm just talking Navy here, for example. It'll be all all military branches, but this literally will fund all aspects of the IDF. And I got pushback on this, and but people will say, well, no, it doesn't literally put the or the U.S. in IDA or IDF, the U.S. Military operational force, but it does. Because when it's funded, when any program is funded, money is the fuel. Money drives it. And for example, take any operation, just a simple military exercise. When the funding is in place, the operation is when it's funded. That means that all of the elements are funded. So an IDF element would be funded. Literally, in the worst case, it could happen. Our men and women in uniform, United States service members, could be committing genocide in Lebanon, acting under an operational commander. And Anthony Aguilar touched on this. Who was going to give them a direct order? Yeah, go blow up that building. Go take the enemies in there. And here it's innocent men, women, children. It me beyond words. The
Andrew,
rage I
you're
can't
rubber
express it.
banding just Andrew, rubber banding just slightly.
Oh, sorry, but
Yeah, you are. It's really bad. Yeah, Andrew, you're rubber banding. You have to reset. Andrew, can you hear me? The space is massively glitching. Ryan, welcome to Ryan. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm good. I saw something you tweeted though that I got to take a little bit issue with. That's okay. You said Gulf states need to realize they no longer have protection from the U.S. It is time for them to make an agreement with Iran for peace in the region. UAE, Bahrain, and Kuwait have now been hit and do not have the ability to respond, nor did the U.S. respond on their behalf. I disagree. I think they should definitely stay the course they're on and not make peace.
Do explain, Ryan. Do explain.
Because I just want to see Dubai in flames.
Yo, fuck all those traitor Muslim countries. I'm not even Muslim, but
So Ryan, what's your thoughts about the news? And I don't think we spoke about the hits on Bahrain, on Kuwait, and then basically Trump's not going to do anything. What's your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so there's a few different things. So first off, that was in response to the U.S. doing once again self-defense strikes. This is what CBS, the new Barry Weiss CBS is calling the U.S. self-defense strikes on Iran, and as well as them hitting disabling a ship by hitting the engine room, which Iran responded in kind. The attacks took place from aircraft that left Bahrain and Kuwait. So Bahrain and Kuwait got tagged. However, the Kuwait incident was a couple different things. First off, Iran hit them with missiles and drones, and they were claiming, well, we intercepted everything. Well, that wasn't true. Then they said, well, it was just 5 injuries, no dead. Well, that's not true. Especially with missiles, it's either a hit or a not. You either miss them or you get them. There's very few in between. They either die or you didn't hit them at all. The photographs come out showing the damage, not just satellite, but from inside, showing the roof blown out and where things definitely struck, and they did not intercept them all. However, in addition to the Kuwaiti strikes where Iran hit their base, a commercial airliner, a commercial airport was hit, and Iran said that it wasn't them, that a Patriot system must have turned backward and hit itself, which is hilarious because that's exactly what the U.S. would say about Iran. Like, oh, I guess you shot yourself. More than likely, they did hit that because it was probably
that was Iran. There's bans. We've got the video out.
Yeah, Iran hit everything, of course. But it's funny that they came out and said, I guess America hit itself. That's hilarious. And then Bahrain got lit up. One of their steel factories is still burning, I believe. It really showed the utter lack of defense by international Zionists too. Like the drones were hitting, not just the miss. Everything hit. It was the exact opposite of what they said. They did not intercept everything. They didn't intercept anything. And they're just not going to learn. They're like, well, what do we do? Double down. But it's been very interesting watching Trump because this is 5 of the last 9 days. No, 6 of the last 10 days. The U.S. has struck Iran and Iran has struck them back. So what kind of like peace negotiation is this? They're basically withdrawn from talks. They're probably going to withdraw from the non-proliferation treaty. Who knows whether they have a bomb or not, but I think they like having that question mark out there. But there's no reason for them to comply with NPT when sanctions aren't lifted and assets are still frozen. The U.S. is not complying with any of its side of things. Like, what's the benefit of it then? You don't have Israel signed up to it, and they've got nuclear weapons. Iran is very pissed off at Israel attacking Lebanon, Beirut especially. I mean, it's just a city full of civilians. And I think they're drawing a red line right now. They're saying Israel's got to knock it off or we're going after them. They've really gotten brazen, and Trump's language has changed. He's always threatening them and things, and now he's like, I was on the phone with Hezbollah. It's like, of all the things that never happened, that never happened the most. He'd not get on the phone with Hezbollah. I really doubt he was cursing at Bibi either. They were probably on the phone together panicking about what to do. That's more likely. Because the ultimatum was set. If you hit Beirut again, then we're hitting you. But he has no other choice. He can't get at Hezbollah on the ground. They killed 3 IDF soldiers on film yesterday with a drone. Went right into their beak. The footage was so good you could see the guy's sunglasses on his head. It was amazing. And he was right next to another guy. They actually hit a person with the drone, killed him, killed the guy next to him, killed the guy in front of him. They killed 6 that same day, and they're being able to film one drone with another drone. Like, that is just hardcore trolling. Like, just to show, just to boost morale or have a trophy or whatever it is. But you don't see the Israelis doing this back. All they can do is use their jets to bomb civilian areas. They are scared to death to go in on the ground. Hezbollah is sticking it to them. And then, yeah, these Gulf Arab countries are absolutely useless. They have no offensive capabilities at all. And the U.S. strikes, I mean, they took out some civilian radar. They damaged the ship. They're just little mamby-pamby, whatever. They're always losing more money. And one person was killed, by the way, an Indian worker at that Kuwaiti airfield was killed, that they admitted. But I honestly would like to know if the 5 injured U.S. personnel weren't actually, it wasn't a lot worse than that, because it's hard to get injured by a missile. You know, it's kind of all or nothing. So we'll see there. This is going to continue, this little dangerous game of chicken, only but for so long. You know, and even if Trump is trying to get a deal and promising a deal, he ain't. I mean, you can see they're so butthurt. They're banning Sean Strickland from the White House dinner with some pre-UFC thing. Apparently, Netanyahu's going to come to UFC. They're going to boo him out of the stadium. They wouldn't let the champion, by the way, he has the belt. They're not going to let him attend. But I agree with Sean that White House dinner was promised to him 3,000 years ago, and he should go anyway. But when they're doing petty stuff like that, it just shows how much control the Israeli lobby has, how much Adelson's money has. So he's going to do it, or the Israelis are going to force his hand. What I don't understand is why, if I was Israel, I wouldn't want to restart the Iran war. You're going to lose. You have no defense. They will destroy you. Why don't you take the deal? It's over. Like, you're like, well, this is our last chance. We're like, no, that's past tense. You already had your last chance when you started this in February. You lost. Accept it. Any further escalation of this war, you just lose more because you're out of interceptors and you don't have standoff munitions. What's your plan? You're going to nuke Iran? It looks like they can nuke you back now, possibly. Now, that is not confirmed, but Pepe Escobar and Larry Johnson were talking about that with a Pakistani source. There are rumors around here that chem scientists were meeting with the Persians. I can't imagine anything else they would discuss. Talking about our neighbor Kim to the north. We'll see. But I think this is just incredibly stupid foreign policy, but you're dealing with a bunch of miscreant, delusional weirdos. Narco Rubio just said in Congress when he was asked, you do know Greenland is part of Denmark. He said, for now. I mean, that is like, wow. okay, you just alienate Europe too. Like they just they win themselves to death. Like every decision, they just can't help acting machismo or whatever, and it's just isolating the United States completely. Iran is winning this war, and it is completely retarded for the United States to try and escalate this back into a hot war again. It won't go any different than the first 42 days of conflict. In fact, it will go a lot worse. Nothing's changed other than you are lower on defense and offense, and Iran is pretty much at 91% capacity. And who knows what they've made since. And they're getting better and better with these drones. So, not looking good for the empire. Really not looking good for the Gulf states. They're losing billions. And like I'll have a Coke.
What's your thoughts about what you call it again? Pepe's and Larry's theory. We had Pepe on earlier on today, and he kind of really was. He did lay it out that there was a very strong possibility, and Larry Johnson's been very adamant.
Well, I think their source could be wrong, but their source is not lying. Like the I can't say the okay, the source that they're getting this from believes it. So, and the first part of the 3 steps that this source predicted has happened. So if they leave NPT next, then the second part will happen. Will they test the nuke? I'm skeptical about this. But this is what this source believes and what they told to Larry and Pepe. I don't see the merit in it. I'm not saying they don't have a bomb. I'm like, but why make it known? It's better to have the question mark, in my opinion. But we'll see if they test it. Then okay, then that guy was right, and so be it. But I lean more towards that not happening. I do think they'll leave NPT though, but I wouldn't connect that to any nuclear ambitions.
I mean, I'm skeptical as well myself. I mean, the source is Pakistani, so I'd take it with a grain of salt, to be honest. They have a propensity to
Well,
exaggerate. They have a propensity to exaggerate, so.
yeah, but in getting that completely wrong, he would burn himself as a source forever. So I don't know. I just don't see what the upside is. Like why flex your nuts? Doing a nuclear test is about the only way you lose, because like, oh, you have a nuke, then we have to use our nukes, and that is an exchange that Iran will 1000% lose. Like the U.S. has thousands of nukes. It's just a crazy like. Don't you're right now the way it is, you're winning. Don't roll the dice. Like just the way it is now with ballistic missiles and stuff, like you got an automatic W. So I wouldn't mess with that formula if I was them.
I think that personally, the only reason why it would be beneficial to have a nuke is if you know this war is going to go far, and then Israel is going to use a nuke, and then therefore this becomes like the equalizer to stop them using it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, they would never use a nuke.
No, that's what I mean.
Because,
If they're
like,
using,
it would have to be all the nukes, because one nuke wouldn't take out Iran, and there's no way you would do a nuke and then let them retaliate. You'd have to pepper them with nukes. That's insane. Like, that you're talking about murdering tens of millions of people. Like, this is
talking about Israel, bro.
Yeah, I know. That's why, like, oh, well, Israel will do that, no problem. I don't think the world would stomach that. Like, there's eventually would come a time, but it wouldn't matter to them. They're like,
What would the
they're
world
existential.
do? It makes no difference. Who care? They don't care what the world says.
I know these people are, I call them God's chosen lunatics. That's where Finkelstein and I agree. It's a lunatic state, and they're just they have this eschatological view of God's a real estate agent, and they murder civilians with impunity anyway. I mean, they probably killed like a quarter of Gaza. I don't think the numbers that they've released are even close to the real death count. And millions of not millions, but about 1 million Iraqis died from sanctions and starvation. That's horde. And probably, 500,000 Syrians, which proportionally is worse, died in that conflict. But it's done over a course of time, whereas nukes it's all at once, so the goldfish brain can't ignore it. That's the difference.
What's your thoughts about what's your thoughts about the reason why Trump isn't responding? This is irrespective of if he has alternative plans. This is making him look weak, right? So why do you think he's not responding?
Well, he's responding by lying. He keeps acting like there's nothing to see here. We're close to a deal. They're going to sign and da. What is he talking about? He hasn't made any progress on any front. They told him, they laid out what to do. Unfreeze the assets. You could do that in 2 minutes. Hasn't done it. Start lifting sanctions. Move your forces out of the area. That's the first 3 steps. Instead, he's got a blockade in the area, and everything else is the same as it was. Now he's declaring like, well, the Strait of Hormuz is going to be open. I'm like, it kind of already is, but through like what Iran decides. So those not involved in the war, East Asia and Iran, they're Oman and so on and so on. They're fine. They can take ships in, out, whatever. But everybody that allied with Team Zog, no. And that's how it is, and that's how it's going to stay. Because he doesn't have the means to enforce it. Like, politics is downstream from power. Like, if you can't do it, then you won't. And he's just talking it up. He's acting like there's a ceasefire. There isn't. You've bombed them 6 times. And you played footsie in the Strait once without exchange of fire, but putting a warship in somebody's territory is also an act of war. So, I don't know. It's like what he does and what he says are opposite. But at least he's lying about it to who? To the markets? Like, who's he fooling? He's trying to lower the heat, I guess, because he's a narcissistic ass, and act like, oh no, that we meant to do that. Like, it's so easy for him to get out of this. Everyone's like, Trump is trapped. I'm like, no, it's if he wasn't an egomaniac, he would just go, okay, leave and lift the asset freezer, start lifting sanctions, and maybe negotiate about uranium, get it back to what it was anyway with the JCPOA. But he doesn't want to do the Obama deal because Obama did it. Like, but that's what he ought to do. He could just leave, just like Vietnam. Like, oh, how do we stop this? Like, get all your troops and go back to America. And then now Vietnam's a trading partner. Like, you could erase this, but he isn't gonna, because Israel won't let him. So he's trapped only in the sense that the Epstein class is making him do all these bad decisions. The right thing to do is very clear. Take your boats, bring them back to the Atlantic, screw these Gulf states, and comply with Iran, have peace and trade. He's never going to do it, though.
Yeah, I meant more that obviously the fact that Bahrain and Kuwait were hit. Now I know that's in response to American attacks, but the American psyche doesn't work that way. The um Bahrain and Kuwait were hit, and UAE came out today and crying about it. Like, that does make Trump look weak, right? That he's not able to defend them.
It only makes him look weak if the news of that is widely known, and it isn't. Like, it's well known maybe on your space, and like people watching the 2 or 3 YouTube channels that talk about it, but they don't like loudly announce their losses. It's not going to be on Fox and CNN and what's going on.
Oh wow!
What
The hits aren't even on Fox and CNN. They're on Bahrain and Kuwait.
It's on the written news, like if you go to their website. But like the couch potato boomer, what they're hearing is we've obliterated their navy, we've wiped out their air force, they're begging us for a ceasefire, blah blah blah. That's the narrative they're getting.
I asked a few.
I would bet good money, like 70% of boomers could not find where Bahrain is.
Disavow Ryan, disavow. We love our boomers. We love our boomers. Ryan, you're not seeing our stats. Like
Like,
we actually
I
have a
love
huge.
some of them, but there's a lot of them. I guarantee you, they don't know where Bahrain is.
Disavow, disavow. I love my boomers. I love my boomers. You've not seen our audience stats, Ryan. It's largely boomer actually. So we love you guys. This is just Ryan Dawson.
Well,
We
that's
love
the
you.
thing. That's the thing. The best people are also the boomer because they're the ones that are the most politically active. If you look at the Thomas Massey race, the boomers outvoted the three generations below them. The three generations below them are apathetic and pathetic. And like, even if you know stuff, it doesn't matter because you don't act on it. Like, if you don't go and vote, you forfeit. But unfortunately, like, even though the boomers are the most politically active, the ones that care the most, a good chunk of them are, they grew up in an era where the internet didn't exist for most of their life, and they're getting their news from TV, and TV's full of shit.
So, Ryan, I've asked a couple of the military guys this question, and they do seem to think it's an issue. That if you look at the US, they've been, if you on the Hormuz, on the Strait of Hormuz, whether it's Tariq, whether it's Kashim Island, whether it's on the shore close to Bandar Abbas, they've been hitting a lot of telecommunication and radars. Do you think that's a problem? Do you think that's they're softening up for something coming in the future?
I, Not really. Like, communication on those islands, I think it's just soft, doable targets, except for Bandar Abbas. That's a little bit more serious, but it's not. That will not have any significant impact. I don't look. They gave it their all the first 40 days. It's not like the U.S. was holding back. Like, wait, well, next time we'll really bomb you. Like, they did try to bomb them. They hit everything they thought, what they knew about. So this stuff is insignificant. It's not like suddenly they learn, now we know their communication network and it's on these islands. Like, no, it's just nearby, and you don't want to fly over Iran proper because they do have air defense. You did not obliterate it, and they will shoot you.
Ryan, we were talking about this and we were trying to figure out like what would be the prime situation where they attack in terms of the US. Like time's running out for them. Summer periods come in. Possibly the World Cup could be a factor. What do they do? What do they do? Like when would be the
I
time?
don't think
Because
so.
time.
I don't think the soccer stuff matters at all to the United States. It's not even on TV half the time. The World Cup will be, but it's
Trump. You
not.
don't think it matters to Trump?
No, they don't care about soccer.
But he got his peace. He got his peace trophy from them.
It doesn't matter. Like, it's just like most Americans won't even watch it.
No, I agree with
They're
that.
watching.
But it's
More of them
more
are going to
whether.
watch the Stanley Cup is on right now, and North Carolina is in the championships with Vegas. There are more people going to watch that. Not globally, but in the United States. Like, and hockey's not a big sport either, but not in America. But the World Cup, that is something that Europeans, it's very significant to them. So they think, what about that? And they don't care.
No, I think it's not that it's the World Cup. It's more that it's in America, and obviously they've spent a huge amount of money to host it. If it's a fluff, like if it's a tourism flop, they're gonna lose all that money. I guess Trump doesn't care about Americans, but I thought his own
No,
ego in
it's
terms of
actually
getting the
better.
trophy.
The more people watching the World Cup and not paying attention to the war, like, it's good to do the war during the World Cup when no one's paying attention.
Okay, so you think that? What about the summer period?
I mean, I don't think the season matters. I mean, it'll hurt the Gulf states if they lose electricity and there's no air conditioning and the heat goes up to 120 Fahrenheit. It'll suck for them. But like even the midterms, I don't even think Trump cares that much. Like, he's a lame duck. He can't get reelected anyway. But I mean, he's like, as long as we hold on enough so that he doesn't get impeached. I don't, you were like bestowing foresight on this guy, and I don't think he possesses it. I think he makes decisions day to day. He just does whatever Israel says. So none of these things matter to him. He's trying to figure out like what to do. You can't just go bomb the S out of them. You tried that. It failed. They can now hit you far harder than they could before because you're so low on your interceptors. So it's like if he was a rational person, and you and I could work this out, but like, you need to negotiate. Another hot war is not going to go your way at all. Yet they haven't done so. They don't want to accept Iran's terms. I'm like, well, if you're not going to accept the terms, option B is fighting again, which you will lose again. And I think that's just what he's going to do. And yes, you can say, but that's stupid. I'm like, yes, they are stupid. He will do this.
Ryan, I had a tweeter on a couple of days ago, and I don't agree with his position, but I wanted to know your thoughts. He was basically saying that according to his sources, I don't know, he says he's got sources in Iran and US, but he was saying according to his sources, it was Iran who pulled out of the deal, and the reason they pulled out is Trump conceded to everything, but they were like, well, we don't believe him. Like, why would he concede to everything? He's got something planned.
Well, it's not everything, because when they always say, they put the phrase guarantees, security guarantees, da 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 da, which means you got to take some actions. And the easiest signal is if you're not unfreezing assets, which is super easy to do, then you're not going to do any of the other things you promised. And they had this problem with Obama because he would always say, look, well, you let the IAE in, you go the enrichment down to 3.5% and blah, blah. They would do all the checklist of things. And then he just would ignore it and come up with something else and revisit it in 6 months. And they were just jerking him around. So Iran's like, no. Don't tell me what you're going to do. Show me what you've done. Do it. If they don't take any concrete steps, then there's no guarantee. They cannot let go of the Strait of Hormuz. They're like, no. You need to start doing the things you're saying, and then we'll ease up on shipping traffic and so on. And since they're not even doing the simplest of those measures, there's no reason for Iran to believe them. And I think Trita Parsi is probably correct. And I think even without his source, you could deduce that logically anyway.
So, but that would be them not agreeing to Iran's demands, because Iran's demand was like release 50% of our assets, and then that's an important part of the deal, and they weren't willing to do that.
Well, they were also like, and pay us $300 billion, and that's not going to happen. But they haven't. Well, this is true. This is what America is saying Iran was saying. So
but
maybe
that was more an pro-American deal, because that was $300 million of American corporations going into Iran. So Trump was going to be in charge of a fund where he deploys it for like American investment.
that benefits both sides, though. Even no matter who it is, like trade is. That's why they do it. But it's like, as I said, the easiest thing is like, why don't you already promised all these things to them in actual assets as well as in wealth, and you've frozen it all. You could just move that money out of Korea and out of Qatar or whatever, and like let the banks in Iran have it, and like that could be done just like that. They haven't done it. So how could you take them seriously on anything else? Like, you still have a blockade, right? You trying, it's not a real blockade, but they're trying to blockade their ships. You didn't move out, so we don't believe you there. Where's the sanction relief? Can't believe you there. Exactly what have they done? You can't sit there and you're bombing them 6 out of the last 10 days. How can they take you serious about peace or any of this stuff? Like, you guys are probing Iran and looking for another way in. Like, you're hoping that Iran will collapse, from your threats, and that they'll agree with you. They're not going to. The U.S. wants to straight reopen. They want it without a toll. They don't want to pay reparations. They don't want to give anything. And they haven't realized, when you lose a conflict, you don't get to be the one that issues the demands. You can negotiate with the demands that Iran gave you. Maybe you can play around with the length of time you're linking, whatever. Like, you can play around with stuff, but you're ultimately, You've got to stop the war in Lebanon, and you've got to get your forces out of the area. You have to unfreeze assets, and then maybe you can negotiate a little bit on the sanction stuff. But, the Strait is going to have a toll. If you're not going to pay reparations, then they're going to bleed it out of the Gulf. They're going to get their money back because they can. And so if you're not going to take any of those, if you're not going to say part of a deal, like, okay, we'll do some of these and not others. If you're not going to do it, then it'll be settled on the battlefield, and Iran wins that too.
And so that's why when you look at the current situation, in terms of why there's no basic deal, that makes a lot of sense. But in terms of this blockade, like, what do you think the American utility is? Is it more that he's able to give propaganda? Because there's so much ships going out that it's obviously not getting the desired effect that they want, right?
Well, they're not really blockading like ships going to China and Japan, Taiwan, whatever. They're more or less trying to just zoom in and stop Iranian ships themselves. It's pretty useless.
But what about Iranian ships that are going to China?
Then that would probably be China would have a Chinese ship go get it and bring it. And then it's untouchable.
No, but there's actually been a lot of Iranian shadow fleet vessels that have gone through.
Well, it's true. They're getting through even with them zooming in on it because it's not they don't have enough boats to do a proper blockade at that distance. If you had some choking point, it would, it's possible. But once they're in the Blue Sea, I mean, the shadow fleet has been dodging regulators for over a decade, and it's like a fifth. It's not just Iran. The shadow fleet is everybody who's been sanctioned wherever. About 20% of maritime trade is the shadow fleet. So they know how to get around these things. And I swear they kind of look the other way because it's like they need it. They need that oil to get to market. It hurts them if it doesn't. But they have to act like they have to make it black market so they can pretend, oh no, we're taking a hard stance on you guys, blah blah blah. It just makes everything more expensive because you got to grease a lot of palms when you're doing shadow trades. But they're doing it. They were doing that in Venezuela too. It's quite obvious. That's why I said the blockade is silly. They don't have the means to do a proper blockade. Shadow fleets are still going through, but they will, even if they only get like say 10% of the boats. That is, hundreds of millions of dollars. So it's not nothing. But it probably costs more money to maintain the blockade than it does the money you're depriving the enemy from now and then when you stop a ship. And it's like Iran can just respond like, oh, you want to stop one of our boats? We'll just disable one of yours, or we'll take something out in any of these Gulf countries whenever we feel like it. Like they've really got them by the short hairs. I don't know why they don't just negotiate, other than you look weak and people say call you names, whatever. Like you're gonna look a lot worse if you continue this and then you lose another war. You're gonna look a lot weaker. Like just take the L and try to fix things because you're just snowballing. The damage is growing. Gas prices are over like $4 in Florida, I heard, which is insane. That people can't pay that. Like something's got to give, or you're gonna get creamed. And everyone said this, but I'll say it too. The lag time of the effects of this war are coming in June, like this month. The effects of all that oil being held for so long and LNG and so on, it's coming. And I think the Gulf states are already getting squeezed now. Like they're looking around. They have some food stocks. It's not like they had no reserves, but imports aren't coming in. And you can't do that at a high enough pace through land routes. You have to have maritime trade. So that's why Iran, there's no hurry for them to preempt this war. They just respond in kind to whatever the U.S. does because the clock's on their side. They're not bleeding out. Zog is. Iran's sitting pretty. They're watching their enemies lose billions of dollars. They're watching Hezbollah take out the IDF. What they hate, though, as all those civilians getting murdered by the Israelis. But in every equation, there was no way around that. That Israel's just going to do that. There's nothing you can do about it.
But based on what the way
By
you
the way,
described it,
it
this
has
is kind of
not
like you.
stopped in Gaza. They're still killing people in Gaza.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt. That's why Iran demanded a ceasefire on Gaza as well as part of the deal. So but basically the way you're describing it, you're basically in a kind of lull period, right? Where Trump's achieving nothing by the blockade. He's just pretending he's got a blockade on in order to what? Wait for what? Because right now there's not even much movement going into the Middle East because they've already got everything there. What they're waiting
Yeah,
for.
but like as dumb as it sounds, if you listen to Rubio and Hegseth and all these people being questioned, even like that idiot Dave Rubin, I don't know if you saw that. It was,
That was
you, you
defamation,
know,
bro.
homosexuals always promise not to like throw it in your face, but there's Dave Rubin getting gang ass raped in front of the world. But you know, if you listen to him, he's kind of the avatar for how these morons think. He didn't know that Gaza was still being bombed. He thought the hostages are home and the war's over. Like he had no idea. He didn't know what the JCPOA was. He didn't know that Iran didn't start enriching uranium until you got rid of the deal first. He didn't know any of it. But one of the things he says is, well, we're negotiating right now and their navy's gone and it's been obliterated. He's quoting Trump, right? He's just saying all the BS. And he says, and we got a blockade causing Iran, you know, billions of dollars in damage and trade. And Rubio said the same thing. He's like, well, we're out there blocking their ships. They're the ones begging us. We're not begging them. No, that's not true. I mean, they do have a blockade, but it's not causing a lot of damage to Iran. It's causing more damage for us to sit out there and pay for that and police it than they're actually nabbing. And as you said, ships are just going through anyway because it's porous as a sponge. But this is something that they're able to point to and say, well, look, we've got them locked in. We'll just hold them here and block their ships and strangle them financially. This is what I don't know if they really believe it or if that's just the lie to sell. It seems they're true believers. It's the neocons, like they just don't understand reality. They're Dave Rubin level dumb. And that's like what he did going on and exposing them, like how they think. That's who you're dealing with. You're dealing with a bunch of people like that who don't know what the fuck's going on and aren't going to listen to anybody. And when they said, well, like this, it was like a college kid too. He's like, well, you know, they didn't enrich past 3.5% until Trump got in and tore up the JCPOA. He's like, oh, it's a very impressive talking point that you memorized. Not correct, but I'm impressed with your. He's like, it is correct, you fucking idiot. Like, we're dealing with morons. They really believe their own hype. At least, like during Bush the Lesser, those neocons lied, but they knew it was a lie. They didn't believe their own crap. They just said it to, you know, get the policies they wanted, and they knew it wasn't true. This newest crop of neocons seems to really believe their own hype. They are incredibly stupid. You think, how could anybody be as dumb as Dave Rubin? But there he was, you know, just just
But
getting
Dave,
wrecked. And he's
but
so
Ryan,
dumb. He
but
thought he did well. He didn't
he's
even
part,
know how he was too stupid to know how badly he was getting owned.
but he's part of the international. He was part of the intellectual dark web. So how can he be so dumb?
Because that's what the intellectual dark web is. It's rich dumbasses. You know, and even like in their leadership, that little midget Benicide Shapiro, he supported every war ever. He's a complete identitarian, like he's a Jewish identitarian. He's like, that's not an identitarianism. I'm like, yeah, it is.
They even owned Dave Rubin on that one. He had no answer. Like he just got smashed in that. It was so bad.
Well, it was perfect. It was, I think it was called Jubilee for those who don't. It's some like thing where the kids sit in a circle and I don't know, they have some flags and a timer and stuff, and they just each take a turn. You're supposed to be like the expert debater, and you're just going to debate like 20 people in a row. He couldn't even debate one person. They're like half his age, and these kids are not like super scholars or expert debaters or anything. They're normal like college kids. Yeah, but they just wrecked him because he's just wrong on everything. He's so wrong. And that's exactly how they are. That whole crew, the Michael Nose, Shapiro, and all that, they're like, can you give me one metric? Like one metric, like on inflation, job growth, whatever. Couldn't do it. He's like, well. It was terrible. But that conversation needed to happen so that they can see, like, this is Trump's team. These are the kind of people who support him because these are the beliefs. He thinks that Trump stopped an apocalyptic regime in Iran that was about to, that sponsors terrorism all over the world. That's his frame. He thinks Iran is Israel. Israel's the one that sponsors terrorists all over the world and has nuclear weapons and commits genocide. But it's total projection. Everything they're guilty of themselves, they project to the enemy.
Testing.
What terrorism? You know what they count as terrorism? When Americans, soldiers, die in Iraq from Shia militia. Like, well, hold on, wait. You invaded them. So that's self-defense. Like, they didn't come over and start shooting people in North Carolina or something. Like, you went into Iraq on a false pretext, and some of you got killed by the resistance. It's not terrorism. You're the terrorist. You carpet bombed Fallujah. You guys did that. You guys used MK77, upgraded form of napalm. After napalm was made illegal, you used the boosted version of it. You used chemical weapons. You tortured people in Abu Ghraib. You did all that. You had the rape rooms. That's what America and Israel did. It's not what Iran did. What terrorist attack? You sponsored ISIS. You created Al Qaeda. You sponsored
talk to me? I
MEK.
can't hear you.
You sponsored the Baluchistani terrorists. You sponsored, including Saudi Arabia now, Al Shabaab and Boko Haram. UAE sponsored Hamidi in Sudan. Your CIA sponsored the breakoff force in Chechnya. You guys sponsored the terrorists in Bosnia. That was
Can
you.
you hear me now, Matthew?
It's not
I can,
Iran.
yes, but I can't see you.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I can see you now.
You guys
There you are.
sponsored
Okay.
the Mujahideen in Afghanistan.
We'll be ready to go in about a couple of minutes.
That was you again.
Take your time. Take your time.
So how can you call them the greatest purveyor of state-sponsored terrorism? And I didn't even get into Latin America, but because it's too much. It's too much. But that's all. It's all the U.S.
Yeah, Brian, always appreciate you coming on. Really appreciate you. Everyone make sure you're following Ryan Dawson on RyanDawson.org. And make sure you're following Substack. Always appreciate him. Very good friend of mine. And guess what, guys? We have got, and we'll be going, we've got an interview with Matthew Hall coming on, who is a Marine. As part of the Eisenhower Media Network. So we've got him coming on. Guys, if you're on the second YouTube channel, we are moving across to the main YouTube channel. So come across there. That tweet is pinned. So come across that. I'm going to end the stream. So everyone make sure you come across. And for the X people, that the stream is in the nest. So make sure you follow that and watch that as well.